Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lesmeries joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he's handed me papers.
Yeah.
And then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of although it feels like a Friday. Feels like a Friday. Bo and the boys. And today, the boys are the great Bake, and the great Tim May is in studio with us for the next 3 hours. Paul Finebaum going to drop by at 10:30. He's had himself a busy week. We'll have some fun with him coming up at 10:30, 11 o'clock. We'll do a little higher, lower, 11:30. Doug Lesmeries. And your emails. I got to get those printed out. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. Is this the least, it's a Thursday, but it's a Friday. Is this the least productive work day of the year? I mean, this is just one of those, you're just looking at the clock all day if you are working today. If you're smart and took today off, God bless you. The weekend has begun. But for everybody else, this has got to be it. I mean, the rest of the calendar year, this one has got to be the one where at least is done. Tim, how you doing on a Thursday that feels like a Friday?
I'll tell you what, I've got a little bit of jet lag, man. I spent the weekend in Nashville with my going to my son Corey, my middle kid, my son Corey's bachelor party. Morgan Walden's place down there. Oh my goodness! But
congratulations! I didn't know young Corey was betrothed.
Well, he's not as young as you think he is anymore. I'm not as young as you think I am anymore.
We've all gotten old, buddy.
But I digress. And then I flew out to Los Angeles on Monday, and I sat in, did this interview for this documentary they're doing on. These guys are doing on Bobby Rahal, and
nice.
And sat in with them for like 7 hours of interview on Tuesday out there, but it was pretty sweet. I mean, it was a cool class, and I flew back in yesterday afternoon, and boy, my arm's tired, but here I am, man. No jet lag whatsoever.
What's the angle on the Rahal doc?
Just about how everybody. You look at a guy and he's been successful, but you see him when he's successful, but you don't understand necessarily, like any other story, you don't necessarily understand the angst, the work, everything he went through to get to be an IndyCar champion 2 years in a row. 3 years, he won 3 IndyCar championships. Of course, won the 1986 Indy 500. Yeah. But just the story behind that of being really good and having things going really good, and then all of a sudden somebody just in auto racing, somebody can pull the rug right out from under you as you're in these stepping stones on the way to the big time. He was at one point headed toward Formula One and had a very promising future there, and then all of a sudden the team he drove for a couple of races just said, "Nah, we're going to go another direction," even though he had been good for him. So, it's like in baseball, if you're really good at AAA and are hitting home runs, they bring you up and you're a major leaguer, But, as we all know, auto racing isn't like that at all. I mean, there are very few Lewis Hamilton examples out there where you're so damn good they can't deny it, and you get jobs thrown at you, et cetera. And
right.
Auto racing, you not only have to be good, but you have to line up people behind you to back you. And his big benefactor was Jim Truman.
Sure.
Obviously, the founder of Red Roof Inns, the owner when he bought Mid Ohio Sports Car Course, where they're hosting the Honda Indy 200, obviously this weekend.
Sure.
But you still got to have somebody step up and be your guy. A.J. Foyt had Jim Gilmore, for example. I mean, any legendary name has had somebody back them at exactly the right time in their career, and that's kind of what it leads up to finally. But it's pretty cool. I was sitting on a hood with him. His wife and my wife had their horses at the same stable back in the early 80s. And this is before I really started covering racing. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there on the hood of a car one night. And I said, by the way, Bobby, I said, we were having a beer. I said, by the way, do you ride horses? And he started laughing. And I go, well, what? He goes, because both our wives ride, and I didn't ride either. And he goes, hell no. And I go, why not? He goes, I'm not getting on something that big with a brain that small. And this is a guy who was going 200 plus.
200 plus. Yeah, but he controlled it.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
you think you do.
Sort of.
You think you do little tire pops.
So it's funny you said that. I haven't actually told the story on air, but I was in Coeur d'Alene. We went out west last week, so we did Coeur d'Alene, and then we went to my dad's place and did Montana for a few days last week. And I was on a horse for as long as I can remember. But this goes to your point that you just made about something that big with a brain this small. And so every time, my dad's now 77, and every time we go out there, we ride. And the boys have had horses, and it's just what we do. And but I'm also aware that he's not riding as much as he used to. And he's still got like 14 head of horses, which is way too much for what he's doing. And there's no way he can ride them all. So there are three that you give that I have complete trust in. 3 horses that I give complete trust to, and that's the ones that the boys ride, are those 3. And then typically I ride one, and then so that we had 5 of us that were going for a ride. So everybody's saddled up, and and I get everybody saddled up, and the boys are kind of on their horses watching. And I go to get on this horse. It's a 16-year-old horse. I mean, that's an old horse. Like, it's been ridden a lot.
And it's a Western saddle. And it's a Western saddle. Go ahead.
It is a Western saddle. Yeah. So I go to get on, and as soon as I get on, I realize things aren't right. Like, I can feel it. Like, she don't want me on her, and I can, I've ridden enough to know. And sure enough, so she starts bucking. Yeah. So legitimate, like 2 big jumps, right? And I ride that out. But then the scary part happened. Yeah. And the scary part was she kind of lost her bearings and just started to kind of back up and lose her balance. Oh, and Tim, what she was backing up towards, my dad had a tractor and a gate that were kind of leaned up against each other. Mm-hmm. And she was backing right into the tractor. And as she backed into the tractor, she started going over backwards.
Wow.
So now we have tractor, horse, me on horse.
Yeah.
If this lands, I'm gone. It's done.
Yeah.
Lights out. I'm not, it's dead night. That's it. And as she started to, I guess instinctually, just because I've ridden so much, I had enough sense to kick my foot out of the stirrup, and I was able to kind of jump off as she was falling. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah. And I made it by a millisecond. Wow. And she ended up falling on the tractor, amazingly, kind of without a scratch. Pretty crazy.
Dude.
Kind of without a scratch.
Wow.
Beamsy was in tears. He's my 11-year-old is like, I'm done. Get me off this thing. I said, I don't blame you. And then in classic, like my dad, Montana fashion, I took the saddle off the horse that had fallen on the tractor. I put it on another one, and then we went for a ride and acted like nothing happened. Everyone was shook. Tears in the eyes of everybody. Like, I've ridden my whole life, and it's as close as I've been to death in my life. But it goes to your point of, it's still an animal, and you don't know. They can be trained, and I try to articulate that to the boys. Like, you can train them as much as you want, but if they step in a hole, or if a pheasant flutters up, or there's a beer bottle, anything can make them jump, and you have no control at that point.
I went over the handlebars, as I call it, 3 times, and that's when I quit riding.
That's enough.
But the best example, real quick, I'll tell the story real quick. Because my wife was an expert rider, so was my daughter, but we're coming back from a trail ride. We used to be able to do trail rides out where we live. Now there's houses there,
right.
Around us. And we got 4.5 acres, so, a paradise surrounded by all these. Anyway, we're coming back from a ride, and there's a big mud puddle in front of us, big water puddle, and Susie's horse refused to go into it. Meanwhile, mine, this big old Morgan King, he decides he'll go into it. And we walk right into the middle of the mud puddle. And my wife says, "Tim, get off. Get off." I go, "No, I got the cool horse. He's going to handle this water problem with no problem." Yeah. And all of a sudden, she goes, "Tim, get off." And all of a sudden, he just buckles his knees and starts going down in the water with me on his back because he's going to roll in the water.
Oh.
And so I go to get off, and just as I get off, Susie was yelling at him. All of a sudden, he pops back up and just flips me right into the water. And I went, it's enough of this, because I'd already gone over the handlebars 2 other times. You know, if I die, I'm not dying this way. But the thing about real quick about nothing that big with a brain that small, my greatest example is Big Brown when he quit running in the Belmont Stakes way back when on that really hot day in New York. He just said he's going for the Triple Crown, but he didn't care.
No, he's like, I'm good. I'm out.
Yeah, I've already won the Derby.
I wish you the best of luck. I wish you the best of luck the rest of the way. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I've already won the Derby. What do you want from me?
How much more do you want? Speaking of how much more that you want, one thing that Buckeye football fans want is more and more and more and more. And the more you think about this season, the more you think about the big questions that surrounding this team. The talent is incredible, but we'll have a little fun with that conversation coming up next. Off and running on a Get Out of Town Thursday edition. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? It's all here, only with Spectrum TV Select. Popular apps are included: Disney Plus, Max, Peacock Premium, Paramount Plus, AMC Plus, and more. And live TV for sports, entertainment, and news. Enjoy across your devices no matter when or where you are. Get Spectrum TV Select and start streaming your favorites today. It's all here. Visit spectrum.com/entertainment. Restrictions apply.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Hear that? That's the sound of freedom. This July, declare your independence on the open road during RCD RV's Declare Your Independence sale, running July 5th through the 19th, offering all-American savings on all in-stock motorhomes, fifth wheels, and travel trailers. Wave goodbye to ordinary vacations and say hello to adventure. Stop by any of our locations, Delaware, Heath, and Pataskala, or shop online anytime at rcdrv.com. Celebrate the red, white, and blue with unbeatable savings at RCD RV. RCD RV. Freedom starts on the open road.
Your bathroom's got to go, the vanity's decayed, and toilet's really old. The bathtub's giving way, if that's our answer ring, call morning, noon, or night. You do not have to wait to get your bathroom right.
Call Baths R Us for your free estimate and enter to win our Christmas in July $12,500 bathroom remodel with an additional savings of up to $3,000 plus low to no monthly payments. 380-225-2284. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
When it comes to home improvement, you've probably asked yourself a few key questions. Is the salesperson trustworthy? Will the company follow through on their promises? And is the work going to be a lasting solution, not just a quick fix? At Newman Roofing, we get it. As a locally based, family-owned company, we know how hard it can be to find a contractor you can truly trust. For over 33 years, we've been providing homeowners across Central Ohio with reliable roofing solutions done right the first time. When you choose Newman Roofing, you'll be greeted by value-driven professionals in clean company vehicles and crisp uniforms who show up with a smile and take the time to answer your questions. Because for us, it's not just about the roof. It's about protecting your home, your family, and the trust you place in us. If you're thinking about your roof or siding, call the local company that puts integrity first. Newman Roofing. Call today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
At Delta Dental of Ohio, we understand oral and vision health is connected to overall well-being. With Delta Dental and Delta Vision, you get affordable, comprehensive coverage from a name you know and trust. Our plans are designed to keep your teeth strong and vision clear, so you can confidently smile at life. 2 great plans, 1 name you can trust. Learn more at deltadentaloh.com.
Austin and Berm are back with a new daily podcast, the Ultimate OSU Football Insiders. You know, it's refreshing to have some smart people working here from time to time.
The Beat with Austin and Berm on the 10 TV Plus app.
Subscribe today.
Have you experienced foot or ankle pain during or after sports, running, or exercising at the gym? Nagging aches in your foot or ankle that won't go away? Podiatric physicians can provide you with important foot care solutions, shoe inserts, or show you how to support your feet and ankles so you're able to compete or exercise comfortably. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and have been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
As we celebrate Independence Day this week, we need to celebrate and protect our students' freedom to learn. Public education is the foundation of a strong democracy. When we remember our American history, both the good and the bad, our students grow as critical thinkers who can write themselves into the history books of tomorrow.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Sunny skies in our forecast for today. We'll see afternoon highs getting into the upper 80s with light winds, and a stray shower can't be ruled out. For tonight, mostly clear with lows down into the 60s. And then for Friday, for the 4th of July, we get up into the low 90s. Lots of sunshine and dry conditions with maybe a stray shower or storm out there, but we do stay mainly dry closing out the week. For the Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfolo with your 10 weather impact forecast.
T-Bone and Tyvus are everything you want in a delicious breakfast. Lots of empty calories, no nutritional value.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The Fan. The final season of Yellowstone might just be Bo's dad live on YouTube. What's the difference anyway? This is Bishop and Friends.
Bake, you ever been on a horse?
Not that I can remember. Maybe when I was really young, but nothing that I remember. I've been on an elephant before at the circus, but...
There you go. There's a win.
We all
There's
did that.
Right there.
We all did that for $5.
Do they even do circuses anymore?
I don't think so.
I think they said, like, Ringling Brothers was, like, making a comeback or something, and they're going to be in Columbus sometime in the next year.
Really?
You know what was cool, Bo? When I was growing up in East Texas, Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus basically decided to just stay in one spot, and they took over the Astro Hall, which was the big exhibition hall next to the Astrodome, and they were there like almost all year and stuff. You could go down and it was a hell of a
all
circus.
Year, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, pretty much all year. I don't even know if they traveled anymore. It was pretty interesting because they used to go train everywhere, but
yeah.
But it was pretty cool for a lot. It was kind of like having Cirque du Soleil hanging out there. It was like it was cool to go to the circus. You could go to the circus for cheaper, and you could go to a Houston Oilers game. So,
well, I mean, was the snake there? Who was the quarterback at that time?
Well, Dante Pastorini. When they drafted. Well, you're not old enough to remember. They drafted two quarterbacks in 1 year. One time, the guy from Kansas and Dante Pastorini from Santa Clara, and Dan Pastorini ended up being the guy, but kind of like what the Browns did this year, except these guys were drafted much higher.
Much higher, right? Yeah. Look, man, in that sport, Zagur and I are doing. Nathan Zagur is obviously on the call. You can hear it right here on the Fan. He and I were doing a Browns 25-year team thing. We were putting together and
of the past 25.
Yeah.
Oh,
just since 2000. Well, here's the thing. You say, "Oh wow,"
I know.
The only problem is quarterback.
Yeah.
You could make an argument that the Cleveland Browns offensive line talent the last 25 years is better than any in the league. Mm-hmm. You can put out a starting five on the offensive line where everybody's an all-pro and the left tackle might be the best to ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really strong. The running back room is really good. I mean, it's Nick Chubb, it's Jamal Lewis, it's Kareem Hunt. That's a pretty dang good running back room over the last 25 years.
Pair and a spare.
Yeah, and the receivers, Josh Gordon, who if he could have. If we live in a different time,
right,
like now where marijuana is legal,
yeah.
Josh Gordon would have thrived. Yeah. That was his issue. It wasn't anything else. But you got Josh Gordon and Jarvis Landry and Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy. That's pretty good. That's okay.
Pretty good
at receiver. But then it comes back to quarterback. And it's like, wow, the two quarterbacks on the roster are Baker Mayfield and Derek Anderson over the last 25 years. And you go, well, that's it. This isn't so hard. It's the most difficult thing you can do in professional sports is to land the quarterback.
Yes.
It's the most difficult thing. But once you land one, it's a Band-Aid over everything else.
Yeah. Speaking of riding horses, I mean, you ride that horse, man. I mean, you're so right. It's unbelievable. And anybody can see that, right? But here's the point. You never know if you've got that guy, until you give him time to mature. I mean, John Elway didn't win. I was thinking about this. I was connecting flights in Denver coming back yesterday, and I'm thinking all these people, with the Super Bowl wins by by Denver, which finally got them on the map. Really, they were already on the map, but you know what I'm talking about. Put them over the top. So, where John Elway had to wait his entire career to win 2 Super Bowls. I mean, so you never. Patience is key, but how long are you patient? You know, and I think the impatience at that position and at head coach have really hurt the current day Browns. The what do you want to call them? The latter day Browns, and But how patient can you be when everybody wants to win today?
Yeah, and I think that's probably why. I think that's why ownership. I mean, Stefanski's won Coach of the Year twice. And he's, I think, regarded as an elite play caller and those type of things. And I think that stability is what they've craved. But you go back to drafting the 2 quarterbacks. Their plan wasn't to draft 2. Their plan was to draft Dylan Gabriel.
Correct.
And I think the guy they wanted, obviously the most was the guy that Cam Ward, who went number 1 overall. But once that became not possible, then the next guy they liked was Gabriel. Mm-hmm. And so they maybe in the eyes of some reach for him, but then all of a sudden they like Shedeur and he fell in the 5th. So let's throw two darts kind of at the dartboard and see if one of them's a bullseye. I mean, that's kind of the way that you got to do it. And I think that's the smart way. To me, keep drafting them until you got them.
But here's the thing. I hate living in the past because there's nothing you can do about the past except lament it, right?
Yeah.
When you could have had Josh Allen, for example, you look at a couple of guys they could have gotten that, at the time, might have still turned heads in the wrong way, but not in my opinion. And you go now, just the struggle of getting that guy. I mean, my wife, I keep bringing her up, but I mean, she's a big football fan. She really likes Baker Mayfield. I mean, she liked him. She kept, saying, well, the reason he's not playing as well as he could be that last year, he's hurt, but they keep trotting. They kept trotting, he kept trotting out there mainly.
It was mostly
exactly. Him. But because you don't want to lose your spot once you got it. These guys all know. And
he equated playing through injury as toughness and leadership.
Yes,
that's what he equated it as.
Yes.
Now, the only thing I would say, having been boots on the ground during all of that stuff, was there was a trust that was lost between Baker and the coaching staff that was lost, and the team, Baker and the team. There were teammates who didn't trust him, and it's one of those things where we all kind of sat back and laughed at the idea that like Odell Beckham's dad would put up a video of Baker missing him wide open,
right?
And you'd go, "Oh, that's so silly." I'm telling you, that affected everybody.
Yeah,
that was an incredible betrayal of trust for Baker towards Odell.
Yeah,
like they would play like Call of Duty and stuff, they were in Montana before the season. It was Jarvis and it was Baker and it was Odell and it was Austin Hooper. They were in Montana at the Yellowstone Club before the season started, like bonding, and then all of a sudden 2.5 months later, Odell's dad's putting a video out of Odell being open and Baker overthrowing him, and that video broke it. I mean, that broke everything. That broke all the trust, everything. And so to me, whether he was injured or not, the Baker Mayfield that you ended up seeing in Tampa Bay was never going to happen in Cleveland after that.
Yeah.
It was cooked.
It was puzzling.
And by the way, two teams bailed on him, not just Cleveland. I mean, Carolina kicked him to the curb, and the Rams had no interest in bringing him back either.
Right.
So, and he took vet minimum to compete with Kyle Trask in Tampa.
I know.
Now he won it, and then you got to tip your hat and go, okay, then he found himself.
Yes. Exactly.
Then he found himself.
But I mean,
and so that goes to your point about the patience that you have to have at that position.
Yeah,
you got to incubate it.
Yeah,
those guys have to be incubated.
Giving up on a quarterback can be the best thing you ever do, and also the worst thing you ever do. Here's the thing. I mean, you've heard me talk about this before, but they are still. I mean, NFL, not just NFL, even colleges are trying to find that consummate way to really judge whether this guy they're looking at has the wherewithal from a mental assimilation standpoint to take them places. Meaning, you can have the world's greatest arm, but can you put it together when you're standing there with everything, with everything cascading upon you and defense is doing strange things? Can you assimilate in a second and a half what the hell's going on defensively and get the ball to the open guy? It sounds, when you watch it on TV from above, as they show from instead of 30,000 feet, from 30 feet above, it looks pretty simple. It is not, and a few guys through history have been able to do it on an elite level, but it's still almost a handful of guys when you think about it compared to how many quarterbacks have come and gone. And there's no way to judge it except putting a guy in there and letting him do his thing. But then is your offensive line up to snuff? There are all these factors that come into play. And does a guy get gun shy like Derek Carr's brother? I mean, it's like
Tim Couch happened to him.
Of course, Tim Couch got the hell beat
If Tim
out
Couch
of him.
is drafted by Philly and the expansion Browns get Donovan McNabb, what does that look like?
Exactly.
This is so depressing right now. Everything we're talking about as a Browns fan. Like I'm in here reliving everything since 1999, and I'm just questioning life decisions.
Well, my middle kid Corey, as we always tell you, he's the biggest Cleveland fan ever, and he just he says he's given up on the Browns, and then of course he's cheering for him, buying Browns paraphernalia the next year. But
I mean that's part of fandom.
But,
and the quarterback thing it's so interesting because there are so many different ways to go about it. There's so many of these guys now who basically have spent their youth in quarterback finishing school, right?
Yes.
I mean they have personal quarterback coaches, and they have Elite 11, they have all of this stuff, and in many instances, boy, does it click, and away they go. But there's plenty of instances when they get in front of the fire, and all of a sudden they melt.
Yeah.
And that happens too because they're not playing. You just don't know until you know.
Right.
With that position, you just don't. And
you don't.
You brought up the Josh Allen thing. Josh Allen, so that was John Dorsey who picked Mahomes and picked Nick Chubb and Denzel Ward and everything, and they were down to Mayfield and Allen.
Yeah.
Those were their two. Now, those two are very different style of play, very different body type, all of it.
Everything.
But his issue, the issue that he's on the record with this, the thing that they were a little hesitant with Josh was, could he become accurate?
Mm-hmm. Because
he was kind of scattershot.
Mm-hmm.
At Wyoming. He was kind of scattershot even in the pre-draft process, but it was between those two guys.
Yeah.
And they knew that Baker was accurate. And who knows? Remember, John Dorsey tried hiring Stefanski. He really liked Stefanski the first time through. And they ended up sticking with Freddie Kitchens at that point. But if they bring in Stefanski coming out of Baker's rookie year, then is Baker Drew Brees?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows?
Exactly. I think that draft we're talking about too. I think my buddy Jeff Snook, he was friends with Dorsey, and he was texting him on how you could get. I think if I have this draft right, you could get Saquon Barkley and Allen. I think that's the same draft. But anyway,
yeah, they were in that.
Yeah,
was Saquon in that? Yeah, I think he was.
I think he was.
Yeah.
Instead, they ended up with Denzel Ward and who's the other guy?
Well, they took Bake 1 and then Denzel at 4.
Yeah, Bake. Yeah.
And
so
Baker and Denzel. And Denzel's, by the way, Denzel's been great.
Oh yeah, when he's been healthy.
Yeah. And he's on a. I think he's the best mirror corner in the league.
I do too, man. That's my term, mirror corner, man. I just he's just one of those guys that can match the moves, and I'll tell you, guys, going to be pretty good, I think, in that when he gets to the NFL, and you're going to laugh. Some people might laugh. Denzel Burke, I think, is going to be pretty good in that realm because he has that ability about him and stuff. By the way, speaking of quarterbacks, real quick before we break, Julian saying, I think he's got the goods, but we still got to see it.
Well, that's among the things we're going to get to next because the Big Ten Commissioner, Tony Petitti, he came out of his closet and he had things to say. He talked about a playoff model. This is something you and I are pretty passionate about as they fumble the rest of college football. Maybe they can get this thing right, although I'm dubious.
Me too.
We'll get into that in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
1-877 today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
He shoots, he scores! It's a great time of year to be a fan, but the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. Maryhaven is here to help with in-person, virtual, and group options. Learn more at maryhaven.com.
Come into your local AAA Tire and Auto Service and save up to $30 on auto repair with their AAA Triple Play. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer valid July 1st through July 31st. See store for details.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by Newman Roofing. For all your roofing, gutter, or siding needs, call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
All right, here's what's up on a Thursday that feels like a Friday edition of the program. Tony Petitti was available. Well, he wasn't available. He went on Joe Klatt's show, and so then we finally heard his voice, which is something we rarely do in all of this. And I guess there's two different ways to skin a cat, right? The SEC and Greg Sankey, if there is a microphone and there is a camera, he will speak. Tony Petitti's been the opposite. The SEC has played all of their negotiating in public, loudly. Every time they have their availabilities in places like Destin, where the media likes to go and is easy for them to get to, and they have availabilities. The Big Ten does it in Los Angeles or Las Vegas, where, quite honestly, it's difficult for the folks who write mostly and talk mostly about this conference can get out there and to be able to cover it. So it's two very different ways of going about it. One thing that you cannot argue is that Petitti's been very quiet about all of this stuff, although having obviously a very big stick behind the closed doors to be able to get some things done. So he's on Joel Klatt's show, and among the things that we've heard so often is the model that they're going for this. And I'll be, just as a quick aside, we do this show in Columbus, Ohio. It doesn't matter if they go 5-11, 4-4, 2-2-1. Buckeyes are fine. They're fine. In 40 years, Ohio State's finished outside the top 16. Bake, how many times did we say? Like 4 in the last 50 years?
It wasn't very often, that's for sure.
Like less than 5 times they wouldn't make a 16-team playoff. So they're going to be more than fine no matter what. But what they're trying to do is protect the middle of this league. And so here is Petitti on Joel Klatt on the 4-4 plus 2-2 plus 1 model and how it could benefit tougher schedules.
So look, I understand there was controversy about, how many AQs one league gets another. Let's put that aside for now. I think what we're trying to focus on is, at least within the Big Ten, we're not asking to be handed anything. Like, we're playing non-conference games. We want to play tough playing games to get there, and we want to create an incentive for our schools to schedule more non-conference. Because if you're qualifying off your conference
so you're trying to build a system that
increases
creates
more
tougher games.
Yeah, I want to play more. Look, we want to play. I think theoretically the goal is to play more non-conference games, because if you're qualifying for the CFP off your conference record and then a play-in game, the fact that you play a tough SEC or ACC or Big 12 team and maybe get beat on the road, whatever the result is, that might impact your seeding down the road, but it's not going to impact your access. Like, there's 3 at-larges, so yeah, it does a little bit, but at the end of the day, that loss isn't fatal. Like, look, you can finish 7-2 in the Big Ten like Ohio State, and if you lost a non-conference game or one of our schools finishes 7-2 and loses a non-conference, and they finish with a 9-3 record, they're in the tournament, because a 7-2 record is certainly going to get you into a play-in game in the Big Ten.
Do you buy that?
Yeah. Dude, I'll buy anything right now. I just want them to come up with a model. But yeah, I do buy that. I'm a advocate of the 4-4-2-2-1. I don't know about you, because I do think the SEC and the Big Ten carry the water, and without a doubt, they've got 30, 18 to 16, 34 of the top, probably program of the top 50 or 60 programs in the country are in the SEC and the Big Ten. So maybe not 34, maybe 30. But the point is, but this idea, we get into this maybe later, but this idea of playing a quality non-conference opponent too, or this idea of playing a swap, SEC Big Ten matchup thing every year, where everybody play crossover game, well, Well, that sounds really good, but it's not going to be Alabama versus Georgia. What if Ohio State versus Georgia? What if it's Ohio State versus Mississippi State? I mean, what does that really prove to anybody about anything? You know, I'm not really. I'd much rather see them play a Big 12 or an ACC school as opposed to that, but because you're gonna probably run into SEC schools in the playoffs. But you know, there's all kinds of lip service going on right now, Bo. You just want them to kind of settle on what it is. I have no problem with a 4-4-2-2-1. I think that merits pushes it out there where it kind of needs to be of the conferences that need to be represented, and then go from there.
Yeah, this isn't a hill for me to die on. I really
Correct.
don't care if it's 5-11 or 4-4-2-2-1.
Yeah.
I think they'll get the right teams in. Here's the thing what I don't like is this notion that no matter what, we're getting 4. And that can be Big Ten or SEC. There might not be 4. Sometimes there's not.
Correct.
So like, and Bake, what is the one you always go back to? Because he's always wants to play like the 4 versus 5. He wants to have these playing games, which I think go ask a coach about adding another high leveraged game at the end of a 12-game season. I mean, just think about how exciting that would have been last year. But your 4 versus 5 example is the perfect one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I think it was last year in the Big Ten. It would have been Indiana, the 3, taking on Iowa, the 6, and Iowa was a team with 5 losses. Like,
Right.
I just that doesn't. And we're going to get this with this. We're going to 16, right? Because it's more money, but there's not 16 teams deserving to play for a national championship. It's just like I talked about with the Buckeyes last year. Do I think the Buckeyes were the best team? Yes, I do. Did they deserve to play for a national championship? No, they didn't. Not the way they played on that field against their rival the last game of the year and got that second loss. Now, they benefit because the playoff expands to 12 teams, and they get in and they win the whole thing, and they finally played up to their potential. But there's never that many deserving teams.
Hey, Bo,
Tim and I think, usually agree on this. We always are at 8.
Yeah.
Weren't you an 8 guy?
I liked 4, to be honest with you. But, yeah, if you're going to expand, go to 8, not 12. Or if you're going to expand, go to 8 or 16, not 12. I didn't like that.
I hate the buys.
I hate the buy aspect of it. But, you know, it's funny. We were talking about this on Channel 10 a couple of weeks ago on Wall to Wall Sports. And I brought up the point, you know, like now, now it is easier for an Ohio State to win a national championship. Now, take this all with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. Easier for Ohio State to win a national championship now than it was, when was the BCS era? Well, how many years ago was that?
98 in terms of just the 2 teams. So that was like 98 to 2013.
If you weren't one of the 2 teams, you didn't get to play for it, you know, and even the 4, you didn't get to play for it. And so it benefits everybody, I think, when you have a little bit more of a wide open tournament. But last year, I would argue, there weren't 12 elite teams in any form or fashion.
There's never going to be
playing in that tournament last year, and we all saw the result of that. So I think there's 8. Usually 8. You can make an argument for 8 college teams being on the level of good enough to play for a national championship every year. But then after that, there are a lot of warts floating around.
And to Tim's point, last year, before we even started the year, who was the list of teams that could win the national championship? It was Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Alabama. And then at the end, when we got in the playoffs, how many were there that we thought could win the national championship? It was Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, maybe Georgia, but they didn't have their quarterback. Really, when you're going into that playoff, for the most part, unless you're a Notre Dame fan or a Penn State fan, there was 3 teams that could win that thing.
Well, true. And the other thing that was so brutal about that was like the path. Like Penn State's path to the national semifinal.
Yes.
Was just nuts. I mean,
the bottom half was way easier than the top half.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Like, there was just no common sense with this stuff.
You could argue neither team for the ACC really belonged in that tournament. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, SMU was the dream team, from the standpoint of their regular season, but they didn't, I don't know. There's all kinds of ways you can go. This is college football. College football, the debate is always, that's why when the polls started, when the poll started. A team from the West Coast arguing it should be the number one team in the country compared to a team from the East. Well, whoever even saw any of them, you know what I mean, play, and you're voting in these polls and stuff. And Minnesota still lives on all those championships they won way back when, and it's like based on what? So, yeah. But I do like the idea that, yes, you do settle it on the field in some form or fashion. I think 4-4-2-2-1 divides or divvies the money up. I mean, what do you get? $4 million if you make the tournament, and you get $4 million if you advance to the next round, and what? $6 million if you get to the semis, and what is it, $6 million if you get to the championship game. That's a lot of money, man. I mean, Ohio State made a lot of money for Big Ten teams last year.
Hey, buddy, why do you think he wants to do play-in games?
Of course.
For money.
Correct.
For television, so he can serve them up to his television partners.
Correct.
He can say, instead of playing just the Big Ten championship game on Fox,
and we're
going to give you the NBC, and we're going to give CBS a game, too. They're going to have playoff play-in games.
And we all saw the merit.
That's what he's doing.
And we all saw the merit of a team hosting those games as opposed to playing neutral site. So, last year. So
yeah. No, so that's some of those that's the other thing that wasn't talked about enough, and we're up against it. I obviously could see that. But, go look at some of the attendance of Texas, Arizona State.
Right.
Go look at that. And I know they don't care about that. It's a TV show. I get it. But man, I mean, and that was in year one, Tim.
I know.
Wait till you see what happens when some of the excitement starts to go on this.
Well,
stuff.
That's what I'm saying, man. It was all new last year. You had to be there. Ohio State fans, think about the money the big Ohio State fans forked out last year. And there are many of them that went to all those games.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of generational wealth.
Few do. And by the way, you're being asked to pay for more and more things.
Exactly.
We'll continue with this conversation. And a big weekend up at Mid-Ohio. We'll lean on Tim's racing expertise next as well. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
All the 10 TV people come over to our side of the building to take a deuce. That should tell you something about how we operate. The Fan.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
You can save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up. Select varieties or buy 2, get 3 free with your card. Limit 10. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
I can't wait to meet her. Oh my gosh.
Put your hands together for new Dr. Pepper Blackberry and Dr. Pepper Blackberry Zero Sugar.
There she is! Woohoo! Yeah! It's full Dr. Pepper!
With sweet blackberry flavor!
Dr. Pepper Blackberry, I'm obsessed with your succulent taste. Please marry me!
No! Marry me! Marry me, or I'm gonna freak out!
Try new Dr. Pepper Blackberry.
It's a pepper thing!
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Sleep apnea is not something you can mess around with. You got to get it treated. Did you know that as you age, your risk of having obstructive sleep apnea nearly doubles? It's a fact. Sleep apnea is a deadly sleep disorder that only gets worse with age, and snoring is the #1 indicator. Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and of course, stops your snoring. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
He opens his toolbox before he opens his wallet and believes you can fix anything with 20 minutes and some pride. He's Mr. DIY. Then when he needs metal, he goes to Metal Supermarkets. Artists, hobbyists, machine shops, maintenance professionals, and welders all count on Metal Supermarkets for over 8,000 metal products, shapes, and grades. If it's metal, they've got it or can get it for you. Cut to any size and ready fast. Visit the family-owned franchise on North Wilson Road or Columbus at metalsupermarkets.com.
Join our resident gambling degenerates Dave Biddle and Scotty Vegas for On the Money Sunday morning at 9.
Presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus.
All the action, none of the responsibility. The Fan.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could it be lower testosterone?
Lower T.
Happens to most guys after 40. I was in the same boat until I started using Nugenix Total T2.
Total T2, the new one I've seen on TV.
Yep, it's the next generation testosterone booster for both free and total testosterone. It's packed with even more man-boosting power, sending nitric oxide levels skyrocketing in just 3 hours.
It actually works?
I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I've got more energy, better results in the gym, and things are even better in the bedroom. Send them a text and get a complimentary bottle.
Text now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the #1 testosterone brand at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free. Text CASH to 231-231. CASH to 231-231. CASH to 231-231.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Distilled sports discussion served in light beer quantities. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, we've got a family 4-pack at 821-9710 for you to scoop up. Cardale Jones charity softball game tickets. Winner here gets that family 4-pack to the Cardale Jones charity softball game. It is on Saturday, July 19th at Huntington Park. Team Cardell versus Team Braxton. If you aren't the winner, don't worry. Tickets can be purchased for $10 at BuckeyeCruise.com. This is the one where Keenholz went yoked last year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, where you kind of went, I don't know if he's going to be a quarterback or not. Man, this guy's a hell of an athlete.
He won the home run derby contest, and I
had it.
I'm so excited that it's going to be him and Joey Velasquez this year. That's going to be your final in the home run derby contest this year, and those two will put on a show.
I remember before last week in the lead up to it, I'm like, Keenholz is if there's a home run derby, he's winning it.
Oh yeah,
like they just. That's a lock.
Dude, we're flying back yesterday, and I always sit by a window seat because I like to see what's up, And it's just amazing, the vast wasteland from west of Omaha to, basically to Vegas and then on down to L.A. But you're looking up there, and I'm seeing these, I think it's Platte or whatever, North Platte, North Dakota or Nebraska. And I remember Pierre, South Dakota, where Lincoln is from, is north of there, and on some lonely stretch of highway and stuff. And
buddy, I drove from when I moved to Tallahassee. I drove our first day. We left Billings, Montana, and we got as far as Mitchell, South Dakota.
There you go.
And we drove for 12 hours.
Yeah,
that's how big the West is.
I mean, it is.
You can't even wrap your head around it.
It's vast and it's cool because the scenery is cool, but then all of a sudden you're going, when are we going to get there, man? You're like a little kid, I would think. But yeah, I would always rib Austin Ward being from Wyoming. I said, well, the great thing about being from Wyoming is everything's downhill from there, So
it is.
If you're leaving.
You hit the Grand Tetons.
That's why nobody goes back, right?
That's exactly right.
You hit the Grand Tetons and bam, it's like a roller coaster.
My oldest son is 13, and in the last year has become pretty passionate about Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he bought he sold some baseball cards and he has some stocks, and so he took some money and he bought one of these simulators for the Xbox.
Nothing wrong with that.
Sit there. It's got a shifter. It's got the car and the brake and the gas and all of this. So he bought one of those things.
So does his Uncle Tim. Go ahead now.
They're fun, right?
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. So he bought one of those, and he watches the races. And so I've watched some of them with him. This is a pretty cool model. It's over quickly. It's on in the morning, and they kind of keep you through it. You have all the in-car communication, all of this. Big F1 movie was the #1 movie in America last week with Brad Pitt.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go see it next week.
Mm-hmm.
How did when I was a kid, it was IndyCar.
Right.
It was all in. It was Fittipaldi, Unser Jr. I mean, that was just after Ray Hall, but that was, and those guys were certainly during his time too.
Yeah.
How did F1 become here in the States what it's become? In Mid-Ohio's this weekend, it's awesome.
Right.
The road course at Mid-Ohio is awesome. Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio on Sunday. How did that happen? And is there anything IndyCar can do to make up some of the gap that was created?
I think Liberty Media took over, F1, for example, but then past that, they've promoted the hell out of it. Mm-hmm. It's still at the front. It's kind of boring at the front, but in the middle of the pack, there's all kinds of action going on from a passing standpoint. People think if the leaders aren't passing each other, well, how good can it be? And the point is, those are usually 2 or 3 of the 4 best cars in the race. So if they're going to be running almost even, right? So it's hard to pass when you're even. But what they really did, the Netflix thing, I think it's Netflix, right?
Drive to Survive, I think.
Yeah, and it has it's just taken it to another level because I think the editing in that is over the top, and they don't shy away from like controversy in that Drive to Survive, like what was going on with some of the things behind the scenes last year with a couple of the 3 of the team owners. I mean, so or team principals, excuse me, not owners, but principals. And so I think they've done a great job of that. And then promoting the drivers, showing them as regular human beings, even though they're some of them making tens of millions of dollars a year. And Lewis Hamilton is just a ridiculous human being on top of maybe being pound for pound the most talented F1 driver ever. Now he's 39, 40 years old now, but he's still, if Ferrari can get their act together, he could still, get after it, in his first year with Ferrari. But the point is they've done a great job of romanticizing it.
They have.
And the qualifying in that series, the three sections of qualifying are compelling to me. And see, I record the races, the qualifying and the races, and then I fast forward. Like in qualifying, it's just like, I wish I could watch an NBA game like that. I fast forward to the last 2 minutes of qualifying, and because that's when they really put it on the line in all 3 sessions. And then in the race, I'll fast forward but I'm watching it, but watch for any kind of like red or caution to come out and see what's up with that. And I'm watching the timing on the left side of the screen. And I don't mind telling you that because life's too short. I'm trying to watch too much television anymore, right? But IndyCar is just as compelling. The thing about IndyCar this weekend at Mid-Ohio, the top. The top, you go from like qualifying, they have groups of 12, and then they end up with a fast 12, and they end up with the fast 6, who then go for the pole at Mid-Ohio, for example, on road courses. But the top 12 will be within a second of each other, probably, or less, on a roughly 2.2 mile, 13-turn road course. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That close. And one little bobble here costs you the pole. It may cost you from advancing into the second round. So that's what stands out to me. But then IndyCar, for the most part, has fighting at the front of the field because of that. Now, Alex Palou has got 6 wins already this season. Alex Palou is having, in the midst of the greatest parity ever in the IndyCar series, Alex Palou is running away from it, but he's just dominating, driving for Chip Ganassi. He's kind of supplanted Scott Dixon as the leader there in terms of the premier driver on that team now. But Scott Dixon's the king of Mid-Ohio. You never know what he's going to do. And then, of course, Graham Rahal.
Come on, buddy.
Hasn't had a win for a long time. I'll keep telling him, put that Ohio State helmet back on, man, because
he wore that helmet when he won in 15.
It was so cool, Bo. Yeah. You had to be there. It was so cool to watch that race that weekend. It was just, you could tell there was something special going on with him, and he qualified in the top 6 a week and a half ago at Road America, and then that race turned into a strategy race, which the local team, from Pataskala, Meyer Shank Racing, almost stole with Felix Rosenquist, but. Alex Palou was able to make a tank of gas last a little bit longer than it should have, maybe, and wins the race on gas miles. But I think Felix Rosenquist is going to be really good this weekend at Mid-Ohio. So, I always like to say you either like racing or you don't. You can't always expect it to be a shootout every week, right?
No.
But the tightness of the competition is what really I think should be the main draw for IndyCar right now because, like I said, one bobble and you can ruin your whole weekend.
It's really one of the cool weekends of the year. Check it out, Mid-Ohio. It is this Sunday, Honda Indy 200. All weekend, it's great up there, so check that out. We'll hit your emails. Paul Finebaum coming up at 10:30, second hour on a Thursday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Catch the latest from the world of Ohio State athletics. Weeknights at 6 on the Buckeye Show. New special guests and everything scarlet and gray. The Fan.
Back to Hollywood Casino Columbus and the ESPN Bet Sportsbook for an all-star game celebration and watch party. When? Tuesday, July 15th. Compete in our home run derby at 7 o'clock for a chance to win an incredible experience at an upcoming Reds game, plus a $250 gift card. So join On the Money's Dave Biddle and me, Scotty Vegas. Compete to win at 7 and enjoy the all-star game at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at 8. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Got one of those days that never stops? Try a stop at Speedway and refresh the vibe with 69-cent large big gulp drinks. Get 69-cent large big gulp drinks at Speedway with Speedy Rewards. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 8/26/25. See app for full terms.
Scotty Vegas here. We all know that summer's the easiest season for weight loss. Warm weather, lighter meals, being outside. Our bodies are primed to succeed, and Awaken 180 has your game plan. Reach your goals this summer with Awaken 180, the official weight loss program of summer.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes.
This was something of a bittersweet day in Reds baseball back on July 3rd, 1877. The bad news was that the Reds had been forced to suspend operations for 3 weeks. On June 16th of that year, the club went bankrupt. Ownership declared the season over for the Reds. But a couple of weeks later, a new owner stepped up, re-signed the players, and the club resumed play on July 3rd. So baseball was back. Although the team was hardly worth watching, the 1877 Reds only won 15 games. They finished dead last. But at least the Reds were playing again, a second start for the 1877 season on this July 3rd, this date in Reds baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
Hey, it's Anthony. I actually enjoy the offseason. Gives me a chance to be really active, travel, be on the move. But when my back started giving me pain, I wasn't going to just deal with it this time. I went to the Good Feet store. Their personally fit arch supports got my feet into their ideal alignment, and I could already feel the difference in my back immediately. And they educated me. I had no clue we actually have several arches under our feet, and those cushy over-the-counter insoles were not going to do the trick. So many people suffering with pain can benefit from their system. People with pain in their feet, ankles, lower legs, knees, hips, and more. I've been wearing my personally fit arch supports for a while now, and they've given me the motivation and confidence to be as active as I want to be. The Good Feet store thrives on being solution-oriented. Go in. The fitting is free. They want you to try them in the store and feel them for yourself. So get back to living the life you love with the Good Feet store. They're on Stringtown Road in Grove City and on Polaris Parkway. Or check them out at goodfeet.com.
Let's be honest. We could all use a little vacation from the ordinary. But with Tim Hortons' new refreshers, you don't need to pack your bags. Just sip, relax, and enjoy your refreshing 16-ounce vacation. With tropical mango packed with real pineapple and mango pieces. And strawberry watermelon kiwi featuring real pieces of strawberry and kiwi. Also, try it with lemonade or coconut milk. A choose-your-own taste bud adventure. Head to Tim's for the new refreshers. Your 16-ounce vacation awaits. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants.
Sometimes I hear a sparkling sound.
Like when we say, all you have to do is point?
There it is.
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, HIMS can help. Through HIMS.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at HIMS.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to HIMS.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Ryan Baker. Major League Baseball announced the starters for the All-Star game last night, and Cleveland Guardians third baseman Jose Ramirez was named a starter for the fourth time in his career. It'll be the seventh time playing in the Midsummer Classic. Then the Guardians fell to the Chicago Cubs 5-4 in Wrigley. The Cincinnati Reds, they're still the only team in Major League Baseball that hasn't been swept yet this year. Yesterday, they lost the completion of Tuesday night's game with the Red Sox. They lost that one 5-3. Then last night they topped Boston 8-4. Christian Encarnacion Strand 2 for 5 with the go-ahead grand slam. Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw last night became the 20th player and just the fourth lefty to reach 3,000 strikeouts in his career. This one's sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, call his office at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP, or you can visit him online, sleepbettercolumbus.com.
Our top men are working on everything except this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
You imagine being in high school and walking the halls were Clayton Kershaw and Matt Stafford.
Jeez.
And it's not like anybody didn't know they were going to be great. I mean, like, Stafford was the number one player in the country.
Right.
Like, everybody knew they were great. And you're just a high school kid.
Right.
And you got the best baseball prospect in the country, the best football prospect in the country.
What was it? Was Monteverde, I think, is the name of the school that had, I think, their whole starting basketball team from high school just get drafted in the first round of the NBA draft or something. It was insane.
Yeah. That was that prep school down Montverde, however you say it, the one down in Florida. Actually, the head coach from there just got hired up at Spire, which is up on the lake. Remember LaMelo Ball there? Yeah, they gave him a pound of cash to be able to go be the coach up there. So,
wow.
But that's just a public school in Dallas. Just had them both.
It's like a small college. I mean, it's actually like a medium college, though. I mean, just another high school. No, not really.
It's Highland Park, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is that what it is? Scots? Do I have that right?
I don't remember. Wait a minute, I don't remember. I thought Stafford. Yeah, because that's where Anthony
He's not
Schlegel.
South Lake Carroll.
Schlegel. Yeah, South Lake Carroll is what I'm thinking of. But
South Lake Carroll is Quinn Ewers.
Yeah. But his put out, it's a ton of those kind of guys too. Walk the halls, and but Highland Park, where Schlegel's from too. So.
I think Schlegs went to the same school as those guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's all the same. All right, time to open up that mailbag.
Our comment box is always open. Any feedback is mostly appreciated.
The mail never stops. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. There's never a let-up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you got to get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in. Again.
Bishop and Friends present emails.
All right, let's start with a lot. We'll get to as many as we can. Let's start with Sean. The subject is funding Ohio Stadium renovation. He writes, "Hey, Bo, with the state budget recently allocating money for the Browns Stadium, I wonder if this opens the door for Ross Bjork petitioning future state budgets to help fund Ohio Stadium renovations to take the burden off the donors." Avid listener to your AM/PM jobs. Well, Sean, thank you. That's a good point. So, Tim, the reason this came up is I think that this is the most complicated the Ohio State athletic director position has ever been. The job that Ross Bjork has in front of him right now, trying to navigate everything that's with it. And one thing that we were saying is, oh, by the way, in addition to everything else and still funneling NIL and splitting everything up, they have to do a major renovation at Ohio Stadium in the near future. It has to be done. And who's going to pay for it? And I hadn't considered this, but I suppose if it's good for NFL teams, why wouldn't it also work for the state university?
Well, not only that, I mean, think but here's the other thing you can throw in it too. Think about the revenue on at least 7 or 8 Saturday or weekends a year.
Yeah.
That place helps generate, I mean, as opposed to, and I'm not knocking other schools, but MAC schools and things like that. I mean, you could make, and it is a public institution too, even though it's tough to get in, and it's it's expensive to stay in. But yeah, I mean, you could make the argument because it's literally a public institution to begin with, and so I could see that. I could also see if you have any kind of wherewithal of staying independent of taking state money, why you would do that also. Keep their fingers out of it. But it makes sense. And I remember 27 years ago, I did a story because Ohio Stadium was facing that big expansion and renovation at the turn of the century, and I remember with Andy Geiger, and it was like, the thought then was, do you tear down this place? It's been here for since 1922, and build something new that's up to date and state of the art. And like he pointed out, that thing, the footprint of that place is ridiculous when you think about it. And where would you put it anywhere near campus? Maybe up there on the northwest corner of Kinney Road and Lane Avenue, that big farm field they've got up there, or grazing field they've got up there. But there's you either renovate it and keep it going, or you move on, and from it. And I think there's a lot to be said for renovating and keeping it going, but we all know those aren't easy. That's not easy to do. You built the place for what, $1.2 million in 1922 dollars.
Yeah.
That won't even build one suite anymore.
That wouldn't even raise the current one.
Correct.
It wouldn't even do that. I do remember, made me think of something John Cooper once said to me. I was looking at houses, and my wife and I, early before kids, looking at houses in Upper Arlington, and Coop, of course, lived there, and he said, "Bo, you can build an old house, but it's an old house."
Yeah.
And the idea was you can fix it all you want, but it's old underneath.
Yes.
And that's kind of where you are with Ohio Stadium. It's an old building underneath, but it needs a lot.
You watch those HGTV shows where they renovate. I go, okay, I'd like to be the guy that bought it after they renovated it, not who does it. Because the point is, the thing also, you get into code situations and all this kind of stuff. You have to bring it up to code. That may be the most expensive aspect when you think about things, because you're going to lose seats and still in different parts of it. So, what a conundrum to be dealing with, along with revenue sharing and NIL.
Yeah, he's got a lot on his plate. This one from Chris. The subject is Terrell Pryor. He writes, don't forget the Pryor recruitment mainly came down to Ohio State and Rich Rod / Michigan at the end, adding to the additional hype for Ohio State fans. You were all over that. And the reason this came up is we were talking about kind of what we're going to get into a little bit next with the Arch Manning hype train and all of that. And I said, the easy answer for most hyped Ohio State recruit in my time here by far was Terrell Pryor. I mean, he was coming out of Vince Young, and he was the LeBron James of high school football is what it was. And he actually had a really good career. It was very awkward, but he had a really good career when he actually played here. But yes, at the end, I remember we all went over there, and then he delayed it, then he came back. And in the end, who did it come down to? Or was it always Ohio State? I thought
it probably was Ohio State, Penn State, from what we were hearing, because Penn State definitely wanted to keep him in state. And, and Rich Rod was making a hell of a push also, man. You just think about how history would have been different. If on one guy, speaking of quarterbacks, on one guy's whimsical, take on where he wants to go to school, because he really had no allegiance to anybody when you really got right down to it. And that's where we are now in college football for sure. I mean, money's behind everything now for the most part. There's attractiveness about different programs, but it's kind of finally come down to what's going to be my cut of the revenue share and what kind of NIL deal am I going to get. So, but yes, it was an interesting time, and it didn't. All that time and effort, it ended up, finally him leaving school instead of talking to the NCAA, right?
Yeah, right.
And it didn't. Just when you throw all the chips into the table, so to speak, for somebody thinking this is going to be the put you over the top dude, things don't happen that way. And that was a great example of that.
I always forget with Terrell Pryor that this guy went to the NFL and was a 1,000-yard wide receiver in the league. And I always think, like, he had a good career here as a quarterback at Ohio State, but I always think, what if he would have just come here and played wide receiver, what his NFL career could have been.
Remind him of the Fiesta Bowl, Bo. I mean, he goes up.
Yeah.
They basically made, what was it, Beckman, the starting quarter. Was it Beckman?
They made Todd Beckman the starting quarterback so that Terrell Pryor didn't have to do media.
That's
That's why
correct.
they did it.
And then when you watch the game develop, he was a mismatched nightmare for Texas in that game. But they only had looked like one or two plays for him. And I remember talking to Charlie Batch, his big basically his counsel guy. He was a backup quarterback for the Steelers then, but during the recruiting process, I got to know him pretty well and stuff. And he goes, if they'd have just gone with that all day, just even with the one or two plays, just throw it to Terrell and let him do his thing. It's like, and some guys have to be shoved into like Butler Benote. What a great cornerback he would have been in the NFL, because that's where he ended up playing. If he had just switched to a cornerback instead of or defensive back instead of being a running back at Ohio State, how much better he would have been, for example.
Well, you want to do the Pryor thing. I mean, if he ended up playing in the offense that Urban ran versus what Tress was running,
right,
he would have won a Heisman.
Right.
I mean, there's no doubt.
But he was imposing. He was Cam.
Oh my God.
He was an imposing physical presence.
He's like Cam.
Yes, just like Cam in that regard.
He's like Cam Newton.
But Cam Newton was a hell of a quarterback. I'm telling you.
Oh, he was. No. I'm not saying that Terrell could throw it that way, but I'm saying Terrell in a spread offense would have been, and he still was really good. He was the MVP of 2 BCS games.
So he was the next Vince Young. I mean, he got a lot of respects. Yeah.
Yeah, he was that. This one from Shannon. Bo, I believe that you're a fan of Ken Burns documentaries. Parenthetically, I am. A new book based on the new PBS film series is coming soon. The book, The American Revolution, An Intimate History with Jeffrey Ward and Ken Burns, is available in November. Also, she has a question. After returning from a longer vacation, you listen to replays of Friends episodes to get a glimpse of how the boys perform while you are away.
No, not allowed. Nope.
You know what I do, though? No, I did get all sorts of notifications. You guys are talking baseball, but
snitches.
Yeah, but the one I do like to pop in and see what's being talked about here. Yeah, I do that.
Do you like it?
Make sure we're keeping it on the rails.
Yeah, keep it between the navigational beacons.
Do you like the direction when you're not in the engine room?
I trust them both completely. I trust them both completely. We have a couple more I want to get to. In addition to that, the Arch Manning hype train is full speed ahead and pouring coal on the burner in a big, big way. We will get into that. Paul Finebaum coming up in 17 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The only workplace in America to participate in the Doorknob Fart Game. And we also play office basketball and sometimes do radio. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Hear that? That's the sound of freedom. This July, declare your independence on the open road during RCD RV's Declare Your Independence sale, running July 5th through the 19th, offering all-American savings on all in-stock motorhomes, fifth wheels, and travel trailers. Wave goodbye to ordinary vacations and say hello to adventure. Stop by any of our locations, Delaware, Heath, and Pataskala, or shop online anytime at rcdrv.com. Celebrate the red, white, and blue with unbeatable savings at RCD RV. RCD RV. Freedom starts on the open road.
He shoots, he scores! No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. Always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
What does it mean to live here, serve here in the Ohio Army National Guard?
It means I can attend college full-time and not have to take out student loans to pay for my tuition.
It means I can work my civilian job during the week and support my state and nation in times of need.
You too can live here, serve here as a member of the Ohio Army National Guard. Learn more about part-time service with full-time benefits at nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard in coordination with the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Your bathroom's got to go, the vanity's decayed, and toilet's really old. The bathtub's giving way. If Baths R Us a ring, call morning, noon, or night. You do not have to wait to get your bathroom right.
Call Baths R Us for your free estimate and enter to win our Christmas in July $12,500 bathroom remodel with an additional savings of up to $3,000 plus low to no monthly payments. 380-225-2284. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
What does summer bring to mind? Lazy days by the pool? Hot dogs on the grill? How about large, sweaty men putting work in to defend their national title? Yes, your summer home of the Buckeyes, The Fan.
Cool cars, cool people, good time. It's the biggest and best hot rodding event of the year. The Good Guys 27th Summit Racing Nationals presented by PPG. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus. Over 6,000 classics from across the USA. Shop the swap meet at Huge Fender Midway. See which rides take home the crown of the 2025 Classic Instrument Street Rods and PPG Street Machine of the Year. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center. Details at good-guys.com.
Have you experienced foot or ankle pain during or after sports, running, or exercising at the gym? Nagging aches in your foot or ankle that won't go away? Podiatric physicians can provide you with important foot care solutions, shoe inserts, or show you how to support your feet and ankles so you're able to compete or exercise comfortably. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and have been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Sunny skies in our forecast for today. We'll see afternoon highs getting into the upper 80s with light winds, and a stray shower can't be ruled out. For tonight, mostly clear with lows down into the 60s. And then for Friday, for the 4th of July, we get up into the low 90s. Lots of sunshine and dry conditions with maybe a stray shower or storm out there, but we do stay mainly dry closing out the week. For the Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfolo with your 10 weather impact forecast.
We're your radio home for the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. We may have a bit of a football problem. Oh, yeah? The Fan, Ohio sports destination. We'll read your emails on the air, but we won't tell you where to send them. Hey, we're not doing all the work for you. This is Bishop and Friends.
And we are proudly sponsored and brought to you by our great friends at Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 78 years. Get to the Arch Manning thing with Tim in just a second. Couple more that I wanted to get to from the mailbag. This one from Nick. How we doing? Hope all is well. He's at he's in Great Beach. That's a lovely place to be. You spoke for years about trying to find a song for Ohio State to play during home games to get the crowd behind it. I think you tried to push Blink 182 a few years ago, and you may have mentioned it really didn't hit. It needs to be more organic. The big problem was they had so many other things going on. I mean, they got the people bouncing off each other like, I don't know. I still think that one would have hit. But he said, just got to the beach, turn on my TV and see Michael K. Williams, Omar. What about Block O going into the fourth quarter, high-pressure down situations, get the stadium to play the Omar whistle, Farmer in the Dell? That's a good one. That's really good. It's not a sing-along, though. That isn't a sing-along. You try to whistle along a little bit. You know who does it is the Ravens.
Is that right?
The Ravens use Omar.
Wow. That would be sweet. That would be sweet. But I don't think you have to have I don't think it has to be sing along necessarily.
I think what they want though is they want that jump around thing.
Right.
They want jump around. They want a little bit softer now that Oregon. They saw what Oregon did, and they said, we got to get some of this going.
Right.
And I think they're right.
But you don't want to, you want to do it, but you don't necessarily want to be copycat. That's the problem. It's got to be unique.
It has to be something organic.
Yes,
right.
It's got to be unique.
Won't Back Down in the Swamp started after Tom Petty died.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Calling on Baton Rouge, they've been doing that for a long time in LSU. Dixieland Delight at Alabama. So and it has to be something that everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
You have to all know it. That's the big one there.
Yeah.
Bake, you ready for this one? TK's coming for you.
Okay, here we go.
He's coming for you. Baker is not a serious person. I'll be honest, when I saw this email, I thought it was about Baker Mayfield. TK, loyal listener, though. Baker is not a serious person, so that's one of our lines, so they listen regularly. Baker talking about NFL guys being set for life and no one is making them play is one of the most ridiculous statements ever. Being on the owner's side of guaranteeing contracts is ridiculous. What an imbecile. He comes right for you, Bake.
Jeez.
This
is worse than Reese yesterday or in the YouTube chat, the Guardians Reds fan thing.
They came right at him. Yeah, they really came.
I'll say this though, you can't hide in the NFL. In the NFL, though, you can't just glide and hide. No. Like you can maybe even in the NBA to a certain extent, and even the Major League Baseball to a certain extent. Hockey and the NFL, man, it's a play a minute. And you got to be bringing it. And I'm not knocking Bake. You know where I stand with Shake and Bake here.
Bo, and I'll acknowledge. I understand.
What's the context?
I think we were talking about something with the money, and I'm usually more of an owners type guy, and I did say nobody's making you play football, nobody is, right? And I acknowledge that most guys are making league minimum and their careers are less than 5 years, but it's still good money if you're smart with your money.
Yeah,
you're going to be okay moving forward.
Like Joshua Perry.
That's right.
He lived as frugally as he could because he knew it wasn't going to last long, whether it was 10 months or 10 years.
Well, and he's big time now.
Marshawn Lynch did that.
Oh yeah.
Marshawn Lynch did that.
Yeah.
He lived off endorsements and didn't spend any of his salary.
Marshawn, man, he doesn't get enough credit for being really smart in a lot of ways.
Well,
Crazy.
he went to Cal, good school.
Yes,
that's a good one.
Yeah,
your guy Gronk too.
Yeah,
saved all those paychecks, just lived off his endorsement money.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think what happened, the NFL, I think where this is kind of reaching a bit of a tipping point is the NFL keeps asking more and more of these players, so many. They're going to go to an 18-game season.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing now every day of the week except Wednesday and Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
They play every other game. They have all these short weeks around. Now they're playing on Christmas. They play on Black Friday. They play on all these games. And I think that the players are like, man, when is this? You think about the MASH unit that you are on an 18-game regular season, which is coming. They're talking about finishing the season on President's Day, so you have Monday off, so Sunday before President's Day.
So do you ultimately blame Pete Rozelle for what has happened? Because when you become a television show as opposed to just a sporting event, you become. I told you that. I still get upset when I hear this term about college football or college athletics. An athletic director said to me 15, 20 years ago, we've got to provide inventory for ESPN. Yes. And I'm just going, what? To me, that's when the worm really turned. And in that regard, that's why Ohio State's playing Texas at noon on August the 30th, because they're inventory for Fox. And Fox
TV show.
Yeah, and Fox wants to put its best foot forward in this showroom. So, but yeah, that's why you make a lot of money in the NFL now too, is because you are inventory for television.
Bo, I know we don't talk a lot of baseball in this show, but we've got some breaking news right now with the Cleveland Guardians. They just released a statement. The Guardians have been notified by Major League Baseball that pitcher Luis Ortiz has been placed on leave per an agreement with the Players Association due to an ongoing league investigation. The Guardians are not permitted to comment further at this time and will respect the league's confidential investigative process.
What does that mean?
doesn't sound good. I mean, the first...
No, but I mean, like, what does that mean? What's he being investigated? The first thing I think of is gambling.
That's the first thing I thought of, too. The first thing I thought of was gambling. And then, unfortunately, the second place my mind goes is the stuff that just happened with Wander Franco and the Tampa Bay Rays with sexual abuse in, the Dominican Republic. So, but those are the first two things that popped to my head.
You'd be able to find that in records, though, probably if there's a... obviously, they'd be investigating something and I would think the media in Cleveland would be up on top of that. So
yeah, I would think that they would.
I would think it'd be the former, not the latter. But you hate to speculate. But the point is, when you remove a guy immediately, you don't want to have him. It tells you don't want him having any influence on games.
Right? Yeah. I think you probably have the correct read on that. But look, I mean, you walk into those buildings now and you can place a wager walking in.
Exactly.
I mean, we're going to play a college football national championship game in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's happening. Think about how long. I mean, think about what like the NCAA did to Jerry Tarkanian all those years.
Oh yeah.
And now we're going to Vegas to play games. So
hey, let me ask you a question. Do you think? Remember the series with John C. Was it John C. Riley, but playing the
Lakers?
Yeah,
Showtime.
the Lakers.
Yeah.
But the way they portrayed Tark, I thought it was pretty accurate. What'd you think?
Yeah,
and Tark and his guy. Remember his guy?
Yeah, his little getter guy. Yeah, no, I do. So my buddy Don Yeager, who wrote for Sports Illustrated for years and did investigative stuff for Sports Illustrated for years, I'm pretty sure he wrote the Tarkanian book. I think there's a lot of things that happened. That was just really the Wild West of sports.
Yeah, dude. When they flew
blowing up around the country, all of a sudden we were watching more and more of it. You could watch more of it.
Oh yeah,
and people were in these outposts, and like, how could you really prove anything? It was just such a different time.
Yeah, I mean, when they flew Buster Douglas out, when Steve Wynn flew Buster Douglas out to negotiate, trying to get the Holyfield fight, after he beat Tyson, I went with him and John Johnson and J.D. McCauley out there on Steve Wynn's private jet, or the Mirage jet, and we get out there and actually getting on the jet, Dr. J is on the jet when we get on it in Columbus, because they found out Dr. J was Buster's hero growing up, basketball player. And
the Dr. J.
Yeah,
like
the
Julius
Dr.
Erving.
J. The Dr. J.
Oh.
Yeah. And
you said that so in passing that I thought it was like maybe some guy whose nickname was Dr. J. No, the Dr. J.
When we get to Vegas, to get to the Mirage, they Buster, I think Steve Wynn is in one of the limos that picks us up right on the tarmac, and then they put me in the limo. It's me and Dr. J shared a limo to the Mirage Hotel, because he was on the board of directors of the Golden Nugget Corporation, like Ron Popeil. I sat next to him. Remember the guy, the pocket fisherman dude? Yeah. I sat with him on the jet when we flew to Burbank for him to be on the Tonight Show. But that was cool. But the point was, they took us in and put us in the front row, one of those front half moon booths at the Siegfried and Roy show. Yeah. And by the way, Buster, meet Larry Johnson. And Larry Johnson and a couple of the UNLV players were sitting right behind us in the other booth. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
there?
I do. Yeah.
I'm just going, okay, this is interesting.
Now it's all above board.
Yeah, and then at the end of the show, Siegfried Roy brought an elephant on stage. I don't know if you ever saw that show. And and they made it disappear. I mean, literally right in front of you. It was cool. And then Steve Wynn, who couldn't see anything, starts yelling. He says to me, sitting right next to me, he goes, bring him back. Bring him back. And then he starts going, bring him back. And then we start saying, and then the whole crowd's yelling, bring him back. And Siegfried and Roy lean in with their hands on their ears like, what? What do you want us to do? And then they drop the curtain 1 second. Second later, it goes back up. There's the damn elephant right in front of us.
It's amazing.
So Larry Johnson and the elephant. That's what I remember most about the show.
And Dr. J and Steve Wynn and Siegfried and Roy.
Dr. J.
From all of that to Paul Finebaum in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, where we've successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help Chad.
Hi, I'm Chad. I've been taking the low T treatment at Tri-State Men's Health for a little under a year now. So I was really just struggling with finding the energy to accomplish the things I wanted to do every day. By the end of the workday, I was very drained and tired and found it hard to concentrate and get my job done, and was looking for something to kind of get that edge back. Once I started taking the treatment, I felt probably within the first 2 to 3 weeks more energy. And the thing that really I noticed right away was sleeping. Now I get a solid 8 hours. I'm going on vacation. I'm enjoying myself. So men out there, if you're struggling with any of the symptoms I was, low energy, brain fog, lack of sleep, I would highly recommend you call Tri-State Men's Health. You won't regret it.
Thanks, Chad. It's true. Low T therapy will likely change your life. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Double your savings with Logan Services. Save up to $3,200 on a qualifying air conditioning and heating system and ask about tax credits up to $3,200. Call for your free estimate now. Logan Services.
With over 33 years of experience, Newman Roofing has become a household name in Central Ohio. Voted Best Roofing Company 4 years in a row, Newman Roofing delivers a white glove experience every time. When it comes to your roof, call 614-NEW-ROOF or visit newmanroofing.com today.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Hear that? That's the sound of freedom. This July, declare your independence on the open road during RCD RV's Declare Your Independence sale, running July 5th through the 19th, offering all-American savings on all in-stock motorhomes, fifth wheels, and travel trailers. Wave goodbye to ordinary vacations and say hello to adventure. Stop by any of our locations, Delaware, Heath, and Pataskala, or shop online anytime at rcdrv.com. Celebrate the red, white, and blue with unbeatable savings at RCD RV. RCD RV. Freedom starts on the open road.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Bishop and Friends present college football's most polarizing figure.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Come on back to our show, Tim. The audience hates you.
This is ESPN's Paul Finebaum, sponsored by the Roofing Guys. For all your roofing, siding, and gutter needs, contact the Roofing Guys at theroofingguys.com.
And for full disclosure, the last part of that, Tim May is here with me today. So, Paul, great to talk to you as always, my friend. This is what I'm most... You've had a busy week. Did you hear from anyone in the Manning family after your week, my friend? Because I know you know that family for a long time.
I have not yet, and you can probably guess that's not a surprise when you talk about the Mannings. That family acts like they don't know you. They don't know what you're talking about. But what's interesting about this brouhaha is I think a lot of people think I woke up one morning and called ESPN and said, give me the microphone. Peyton Manning started this Monday on McAfee, and he was responding to, in essence, Steve Spurrier, who took a shot at Arch Manning a couple weeks ago, as I believe we talked about. And so naturally the questions come up, and you go on TV, and Tim, you probably wouldn't understand this because you've never hyperbolized anything in your entire career.
Correct.
You make an absolute statement, which half the country can argue with, and then you have to look down and remember it's July 1st, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
It is July 1st, and the thing about this, though, is we all knew this was coming, right? And we all watched it with the patience they had. We said, well, if anybody would have the patience, it would probably be them. If anyone could handle all of this hype, it would probably be them. But now it's time to actually play. And to have the team. You used Tim Tebow as the example in some of your comments this week. I was there for Tim's freshman year when he was kind of a gadget player, and Chris Leak was the quarterback, and they ended up beating Ohio State for the national title in that game by the time that season finally came to conclusion. But he had a chance to sit and watch a little bit too and then be handed the keys to the kingdom. Arch has waited a long time. Is it even possible for him to live up to this hype? And I guess the root of the question is, what type of a quarterback is he in your estimation?
I think he is a very solid quarterback where he has all the things that you need. And on a show like that, as you both well understand, or any show, you don't have time. This is not a newspaper column in the Columbus paper in 1985. You don't have 740 words to explain it. And my point was, there's never been a quarterback better prepared. That was the connection to Tebow. Mm-hmm. I really believe he will be that great. And I think what happened yesterday confirmed it. I'm on First Take. and by the way, I mean, I realize there's a dearth of sports news right now other than Wimbledon and soccer. But the whole subject was about what I said. And half the people agreed, but then they disagreed. And I wasn't saying that in a specific moment, I mean, I covered Cam Newton. He was great. He also got kicked off the Florida team by Urban Meyer. Other quarterbacks, Joe Burrow was amazing. I was talking about the cumulative college experience, and that's why I went yesterday and said, Tebow was a bust in the NFL. He had one good play against the Steelers for an 80-yard touchdown in the playoffs. Other than that, he did nothing, and nobody talks about all the times he's been cut and moved to tight end and been cut again, even by Urban Meyer at Jacksonville. But this is sports, as I don't need to explain to either one of you, but I do need to explain to some of the meatheads around the country who are going off like I've just committed some blasphemous crime.
Yeah, and you're entitled to your opinion. That's the main thing, you know. I mean, I think that's the interesting thing. You just wonder how much the hype around Arch Manning is going to affect Arch Manning. And is the hype going to bother him, or is the way he got hit by Lathan Ransom on his one play against Ohio State? You know, I mean, and he leaves the game, and it looked like he got a concussion from that because he kind of stumbled off, and we never saw him again. But that's the interesting thing, right, Paul? Is you always try to speculate on how good these guys are. You're not the only person who thinks this guy could be a superstar, but he hadn't really done it yet, except maybe against Mississippi State. And you know what I mean? And I don't even know if that's a credible opponent. Just ask Toledo. But that's what we're talking about here. I mean, Julian Sayin, you know, completed 47% of his passes in his few throws last year for Ohio State. But we all think he's going to be the next big deal. So that's what it's all about. But I did want to ask you about Arch. My take on Arch is he's the closest thing we've seen in the Manning family to his grandfather. You know, the ability to run and throw. And I don't even, you know, you're a little bit younger than me. You're a whippersnapper, but you remember Archie Manning could run and throw. He should have won the Heisman Trophy, in my opinion, one of those years. But does he remind you of his grandpa?
He does, and some of this is I think I've told Bo this, but we did 2 days of shows in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl from Archie Manning's restaurant. So I got a chance to really talk to Archie, you know, who is in his mid 70s, and he's struggling to get around because of all the injuries, but he's still an amazing guy to talk to. Yeah. And he'll say the same thing. And I think probably the most controversial thing I said the other day that very few people have picked up on, I'm surprised Tim hasn't put out an extra, is I said had Sarkisian put Arch Manning in the second half, they very well may have beaten Ohio State. And by the way, they didn't miss by that much. If anybody remembers the first down series, the first down and the goal line. So right. That was really the point I was trying to make. But I don't mind all the hyperbole, and I've read a lot of columns since then. And by the way, Tim, we used to sit around on thinking about the July 4th holiday. It's a good column, okay? That's all you ever think about as a columnist. Hey, I'll take a shot at that bald guy on ESPN who doesn't know what he's talking about.
Exactly, but it's getting paid damn good to say it. Hey, what I want to ask you real quick, I didn't mean to interrupt, Bo, but go ahead. The interesting thing to me in all of this is why did Sarkisian what, I know you've been asked this a million times, but I wanted to get your take just on here. Why didn't Sarkisian not pull that lever, man, do you think? I mean, because Quinn Ewers, there were times when Quinn really kind of struggled last year and stuff. And if you've got this guy who Paul Finebaum thinks could be the greatest quarterback since Tim Tebow in college football, you know, do you ever sit around on your show and speculate on what was going on there?
I think it's pretty simple. It's, Quinn Ewers came back for another year. For what reason, I don't know. And, well, I guess I do know. Nobody in the NFL really wanted him. Right. So I think most people in Texas would have been thrilled to see him leave. Yes. But you can't tell a guy who is as good as he is. I think the problem with Ewers is that the hype 5 years ago and, him going to Ohio State instead of Texas. And he was, and I think last year he was also banged up. And Sarkisian told me once during the season, it was right before the Texas-Oklahoma game, that he really admired how he fought back and he overcame a lot. And he was a good serviceable quarterback. Yes. But I think that's where some of the disconnect. One more thing though, and I work for ESPN, and when you're on the morning shows, last year, it was what was it? It was Dion, Shador, Travis.
Yes.
And is Kalen DeBoer going to get fired? The year before, is it over for Saban? I mean, there's only three subjects that they talk about, and right now, Arch Manning is the college football subject. It was Caleb Williams last year, for about 3 weeks.
Yes.
And that's just the way it goes. And Tim and Bo, you guys should not be surprised by that.
No. In fact, I explained to our audience how this works. I mean, this is first week of July, and they're going, man, what do we got? And you're going around, you're going, do we have anything we can do on the Cowboys? Can we do anything on LeBron and the Lakers? Here's the deal with Arch Manning. Everybody can be in on the conversation because everybody knows that last name, Paul and Tim.
Yeah.
We all know that. So, this is an easy point of entry for any sports fan is to have the Arch Manning conversation. And we're running a little short on time here, so I'll just ask you this, Paul, because I do, and everything that the Manning family does is with such purpose, right? And obviously they like Sark a lot, but they also were able to play SEC football at Texas without having to be in some of those small towns where he would have been. And I think in those spots, it would have been impossible not to play him earlier. But at Texas, maybe in that sense, it was the perfect place, Paul.
Yeah, and unlike almost any other player, and you guys understand this too, he didn't have to go someplace for the money. And listen, I've never had that ability to not have to make decisions based on money. I mean, look at me. I'm still doing it every day. For what? For money. So it's easy to understand. And I think everybody gets set. And the whole Julian, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned saying he might end up being the better quarterback. And by the way, that should not be a surprise either, because he's one of the most heavily recruited quarterbacks I can remember, and I watched every minute of it when he went to Alabama.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely so. Good talking to you as always, my friend. Thanks for your time. Have a good Fourth.
A pleasure. Thank you, guys. Happy Fourth.
There he goes, Paul Finebaum joining us on the Brian Heating. We had so much to get to there. They did bench. Remember, he did bench yours in the Georgia game, Tim.
Yeah, I know. And
he put in Arch for 2 series, and then they were trying to run it with him.
Yeah.
Which,
see, that's the part I don't get.
Strange.
I mean,
I never understood that part.
This guy's if you watch, his video from high school, he's a multi-talented dude, but to put him in and him being your, kind of your Tebow when Tebow was a freshman, remember? Well, but then Tebow at least got to throw that jump pass, but he did get enough throws. I think he threw for he completed like 65-70% of his passes overall last year. He's got, because he obviously had to start a couple of games when Ewers was really banged up. But I just didn't understand if this, with Ewers having his inconsistency at times, why not play that guy a little bit more? But I really believe he didn't go back in the Ohio State game because he got a head bump and. Could not, because he wobbled getting up after Lathan Ransom's hit. That's for sure.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that game's going to be nuts. We've got 2 more months to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's going to be
all right.
Just an all-timer. We'll hit a little thing or not a thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We know everything about you. We know you love the Buckeyes. We know you love the Jackets. We know you're wearing a red shirt. I just freaked the hell out of someone. The Fan.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and progressive.com.
The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer are a great way to stock up on all your 4th of July celebration supplies. Buy 5 or more and save $5 or more when you mix or match hundreds of items, like 24 packs of select Coca-Cola and Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable. Oscar Mayer Classic Beef Franks, Kraft Shredded or Chunk Cheese, Dole Chopped or Premium Salad Kits, and Dixie Family Pack plates, bowls, or hot cups. The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer. That's the good life. A good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Sleep apnea is not something you can mess around with. You got to get it treated. Did you know that as you age, your risk of having obstructive sleep apnea nearly doubles? It's a fact. Sleep apnea is a deadly sleep disorder that only gets worse with age, and snoring is the #1 indicator. Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and of course, stops your snoring. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com.
Delaware County Veterans Services is ready to help you access VA benefits, emergency financial assistance, dental and medical grants, transportation, and more. Give Delaware County Veterans Services a call, 740-833-2010 to schedule an appointment.
When you walk up and down the stairs, do you feel a crunch in your knees? Or when you lift your arms above your head, you hear a click in your shoulders? Have you tried steroid shots and neither suggested surgery? Before you go under the knife, you should hear me out. Hey, it's Tyvis Powell, and I want to tell you about something that helped a lot of people get their lives back without getting more meds and without having to have surgery. It's QC Kinetics, leaders in regenerative medicine, using the treatments like advanced cellular therapy and platelet-rich plasma, all designed to actually help your body heal itself. Their cellular treatment contains growth factors and healing properties to maximize your own body's ability to heal itself. 92% of patients report satisfaction with their results. Learn more about something that could be life-changing. A licensed medical provider will go over your x-rays or MRI and see if you're a good fit for these breakthrough treatments. Find out if you're a good candidate. The consultation is free. Go to qckinetics.com/Columbus or call 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544.
They were national champs on the football field, but how far can they hit us softball? Find out at the Monogram Homes Cardale Jones Charity Softball Game.
Presented by the Ohio State University Army ROTC. Saturday, July 19th at Huntington Park.
Bring the whole family and watch Team Cardale battle Team Braxton Miller. Don't miss the Home Run Derby and see stars like Ted Ginn Jr. and Maurice Clarett. Get your tickets at 971thefan.com. Do it now.
The big one is back. The Good Guys 27th Summit Racing Nationals presented by PPG. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus. Over 6,000 of the nation's baddest hot rods, muscle cars, and trick trucks. Don't miss Good Guys autocross racing action. A tire-smoking burnout competition. A pro street takeover. Earth-shaking Nitro Thunderfest. Meet the top builders in the industry and more. July 11th through the 13th at the Ohio Expo Center. Details at good-guys.com.
He opens his toolbox before he opens his wallet and believes you can fix anything with 20 minutes and some pride. He's Mr. DIY, and when he needs metal, he goes to metal supermarkets. Artists, hobbyists, machine shops, maintenance professionals, and welders all count on metal supermarkets for over 8,000 metal products, shapes, and grades. If it's metal, they've got it or can get it for you. Cut to any size and ready fast. Visit the family-owned franchise on North Wilson Road or Columbus at metalsupermarkets.com.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
When General Sherman marched through Georgia, he was listening to this show.
Use your skills for good, young warrior.
This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Thursday. Hit it, Bake.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Billiards Plus. Find your next grill and everything you need for the master griller. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Not sure if you guys caught this over the weekend, but after defeating former WBC middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. via unanimous decision, Jake Paul is now an officially ranked boxer by one of the sport's big four governing bodies. The WBA added Paul, who is 12-1 with 7 KOs, as their number 14 cruiserweight in their world rankings on Tuesday. This makes Paul eligible for a bout with the organization's divisional champion, Alberto Zurdo Ramirez. Paul, who is 28, is not yet ranked by the WBC, WBO, or IBF. He is the 69th ranked cruiserweight on BoxRec, which is an online database that curates its own world rankings independent of the sanctioning bodies. Thing or not a thing?
So this isn't a thing for me because the Paul brothers don't appeal to me. But I can also, while I say that, I can also acknowledge that it's a pretty remarkable thing that they've pulled off here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are two kids they're just outside of Cleveland, aren't they?
Right.
Aren't they like from Westlake or Lakewood or something like that?
Somewhere up there.
Westlake, I think.
Yeah, and they've done all of this, and that's a lot. So
yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot going on that they've done. So you can speak to the boxing part of it, Tim. It's not for me, but it's at the same time I have to acknowledge that part of it is a thing.
Yeah, here's the thing. It takes guts to get into a boxing ring, number one, because as I like to say, you're in your underwear with these gloves on, right? And that's it. I mean, there's no, you're not wearing a helmet or anything else. With that said, the thing that's caught your mind, was what he beat. Didn't he beat Mike Tyson like a year and a half ago or a year ago?
Yeah, poor Mike.
Back in, last fall. And then he beats Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who don't let the junior fool you. He's an old man also. He's like 39 or 40 years old. Right. So,
and he's also been in and out of rehab for the past 10 years.
Correct.
He's well past his prime.
He's making TV shows is what he's doing. He's giving you people and he's selling out pay-per-views.
Exactly. And it's professional boxing, which means putting fannies in seats and making money for promoters and yourself. So I give it all up to him for this phenomenon. But if he gets in there with somebody who's really good, it could be a tough thing to watch.
I don't think this is a thing, but I hope it is a thing because hopefully now we see him box a boxer that's currently in their prime.
That's what I'm talking about.
Everybody he's fought has been over the hill or MMA guys who were over the hill and whatnot. And listen, I've watched some of his training videos with Ryan Garcia and stuff. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of power and he's got quick hands. So I want to see him test his skills against a real boxer and see if he can hang. I think most people just kind of, dismiss this as a carny act because it hasn't been, as you mentioned, Bo. They're making money and making TV shows. I hope now we get to see him against a guy and really test his skills.
They've played this perfectly, though, guys.
Yes.
Because I think you said he was 12-1 or whatever. So if he were to have gotten into that world too soon, then none of this happens. So
Correct.
he continues to win, which builds exactly what you just laid out, Beg. So like by continuing to win, he stays in the mix. And as long as he doesn't lose or get humiliated, and I don't know that he would or not, who knows, he can keep playing this game. So he's played it shrewdly.
I saw loyal listener Zelko on the Twitter just tweeted at Bobby Carpenter, please get in the ring and smash Jake Paul.
He's pretty hateable, but you have to be a face and you got to be a heel.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
How to do that.
The better. It's not just about getting into a ring and throwing haymakers. See, I'm talking about when you get into the upper echelon of any boxing weight class. I mean, there are guys there that are just lethal. So, and I'm not knocking him, man. If he can win the championship, that'd be great.
Hundreds of women will assemble in Washington, D.C. next month to compete for a chance to play professional baseball in the U.S. for the first time in decades. The Women's Pro Baseball League will hold tryouts at Nationals Park and Nationals Youth Baseball Academy August 22nd through the 25th. The league announced on Wednesday more than 600 women have already registered to take part. We want to see the best of the best. That's what we're looking for. The best players around the world. This was Justine Siegel, league co-founder and former baseball player and coach. She said this to CBS Morning Plus. The WPBL aims to launch in the summer of 2026 with 6 teams that would become the first women's professional baseball league in the U.S. since the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League that folded up in 1954. Thing or not a thing?
There's no crying in baseball, right? That's the
correct.
That's
None.
the line.
League of their own.
Here, and I'm naive to this, so this could be wildly misinformed. To me, it would feel like if you're going to have professional baseball or adjacent, that softball would be the one to do based on the popularity of the Women's College World Series.
Agreed.
Would that be like, to me? I don't know who's going to play in this. I don't think, to me, so not a thing. I don't know anyone. To me, this doesn't last long.
Which it's interesting the timing of this, Bo, because I think they just announced that there is a professional women's softball league that is returning. I think there was one because we had the Akron Racers up in Akron that played at Firestone Stadium, but I believe when COVID happened, it went away.
Right.
And they're supposed to be resuming, I believe, next year as well. So this is interesting timing.
Two women's sports that I enjoy watching. I actually literally enjoy watching are softball. I'm talking about in college, softball and volleyball. I think just the way those games are conducted, or the way that sport is conducted, it's compelling. They're not. I hate to throw this out there. It doesn't look like they're trying to play a men's game, for want of another term. And I really like women's softball. And I think that it should be the way they would go, because the great thing about softball games is they go, man. They just clickety clack down the track, and that's fun to watch. And of course, a league of their own was to fill a gap from an entertainment standpoint during World War II, is where that came along. And of course, when all the guys came back from World War II, it literally ran out of steam. And I'm just wondering if these teams, after they get the teams, are going to be in Racine and Rockford and all up and down the east coast of Wisconsin.
If they did the softball thing, like play in that southeastern footprint. I mean, they have huge crowds for that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's
Oklahoma City, baby.
Yeah, for sure. All right, final out. Go ahead, Baker.
I was just going to say, that Akron team, they had a pretty good following up there at Firestone Stadium as well, too. So I understand the southeast part of the country where it's big, but it was pretty big up in Akron.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, final hour of the week. We kick it off with a little higher or lower, and this is going to be a fun one. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The Big Nine was a sad, incomplete place. Enter Ohio State. The rest is history. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan.
Newman Roofing, as part of their 2025 Commitment to Community initiative, is proud to sponsor The Fan and 10 TV's Beat the Heat Fan Drive, benefiting Life Care Alliance. You can help Ohio's most vulnerable residents deal with the extreme heat this summer. How can you help? Purchase new box fans and bring them to the nearest Franklin County Fire Station, or you can buy online and ship fans directly to Life Care Alliance. The collection and distribution of fans is to assist residents who are at risk of heat stroke or heat exhaustion. For more information, go to lifecarealliance.org.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Right now, save on USDA Choice T-Bone Steaks. Just $9.99 a pound in the value pack with your digital coupon. Limit 5. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Back to Hollywood Casino Columbus and the ESPN Bet Sportsbook for an all-star game celebration and watch party. When? Tuesday, July 15th. Compete in our home run derby at 7 o'clock for a chance to win an incredible experience at an upcoming Reds game, plus a $250 gift card. So join On the Money's Dave Biddle and me, Scotty Vegas. Compete to win at 7 and enjoy the all-star game at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at 8. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary. It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weems, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, Care is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com.
When you need a company you can trust.
At Delta Dental of Ohio, we understand oral and vision health is connected to overall well-being. With Delta Dental and Delta Vision, you get affordable, comprehensive coverage from a name you know and trust. Our plans are designed to keep your teeth strong and vision clear, so you can confidently smile at life. 2 great plans, 1 name you can trust. Learn more at deltadentaloh.com.
Your bathroom's got to go, the vanity's decayed, and toilet's really old. The bathtub's giving way, give Bath R Us a ring. Call morning, noon, or night. You do not have to wait to get your bathroom right.
Call Baths R Us for your free estimate and enter to win our Christmas in July $12,500 bathroom remodel with an additional savings of up to $3,000 plus low to no monthly payments. 380-225-2284. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
Introducing the new Dell AI PC, powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. It helps do your busy work for you, so you can fast forward through editing images, designing presentations, generating code, debugging code, summarizing meeting notes, finding files, managing your schedule, responding to Jim's long emails, leaving all the time in the world for the things you actually want to do. No offense, Jim. Get a new Dell AI PC starting at $699.99 at Dell.com/AI-PC. How those ahead stay ahead.
Evan Cohen here. Whether you're locking in your home run picks or riding with your favorite golfers this summer, ESPN Bet is your sportsbook for all the action. Go from checking stats on your favorite teams and players to placing bets in just a few taps. Plus, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Ryan Baker. The Cleveland Guardians this morning have released a statement saying that Major League Baseball has placed pitcher Luis Ortiz on leave due to an ongoing investigation. The club cannot provide any further details at this time. Ortiz was supposed to start the series finale against the Cubs in Wrigley tonight. Joey Cantillo will now do that. Speaking of the Guardians, Jose Ramirez named an All-Star Game starter last night. It's the 4th time that Jose will be a starter for the American League. It's the 7th time that he will play in the Midsummer Classic. Despite home runs from Carlos Santana, Lane Thomas, and David Fry, the Guardians fell to the Chicago Cubs 5-4 in Wrigley last night. The Cincinnati Reds, they still haven't been swept. The only team in baseball. They split a pair with the Red Sox yesterday. They lose the first one 5-3. They win the nightcap 8-4.
Producers, co-hosts, friends, some of those things are true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bo Bacon, Tim May with you here. Final hour of the program. Doug Lesmeries going to join us in about 28 minutes from now. We kick off the final hour with a little higher or lower. Hit it, Bake.
Bishop and Friends present Higher or Lower.
Sponsored by the Waterworks. Call the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling today at 614-232-2222 or visit online at thewaterworks.com.
So, Bo, this came from back in May, I believe. Okay. We had either a hey guys or an email segment or something like that where somebody asked us about our favorite 90s TV shows and movies. Okay. And I immediately went looking for a topic that we could have maybe later on in the summer, and I feel like today is that day. So Forbes put out their list, this was back in April, of the best movies of the 90s. Now, I was going to go through the top 10, but first, before we got into the top 10, I wanted to give you some of the movies that fell outside of the top 10. They did 40.
Real quick, I do think it's really critical for any conversation like this, and Tim, you can agree or disagree, best versus most rewatchable.
Correct.
Because there are some on this list that I cannot argue that it is an incredible piece of filmmaking, but I'm not in a hurry to rewatch it.
Mine is Tim May. If anybody's ever watched television with Tim May when I'm surfing, which is in any commercial,
yeah,
or But if I see certain movies on, all of a sudden I'm watching it till the end. And I already know what happened in the beginning. I know what's going to happen, but I still enjoy the movie. And so some of the ones that aren't in the top 10 are just on my list. So go ahead.
So that's where I want to start. Here's some of the notables that are outside of the top 10. Number 12, The Fugitive. Number 14, Jerry Maguire. 18, A League of Their Own. 20, Groundhog Day. 21, The Big Lebowski. 35, Forrest Gump. 36, Fight Club. And 38, Saving Private Ryan. Higher or lower for any or a bunch of those?
All right. So
several for me.
Yeah, several.
Go ahead, Bo.
I have seen what Tim just described, and loyal listeners know this, is my favorite thing about still being a cable subscriber, right?
Yeah.
Because I love watching a game, and then we hit a break, and then, oh, my God, Lebowski's on.
Yes.
I'm watching Lebowski. I'm going to watch Lebowski. I'll watch the game. So Lebowski's in the top 10 for me, lock, stock.
Yes.
The two most rewatchable movies for me on cable over the last 20 years, I really think that these are the two that if I see them on, and they're on a lot, I'm in, are The Fugitive and A Few Good Men.
Yep.
Both of those are in the 90s. Few Good Men, I think, is 92. The Fugitive should be top 10. To me, it should be in the top 5.
Yes.
But if those two are on, I'm in.
All right. I'm flying back from L.A. yesterday, and my little thing was I called up A Few Good Men, and what I did was fast-forwarded just to the courtroom scenes, and especially the last one,
oh, gosh.
And I'm just going, this is great, man. It's not Tom Cruise kind of staring off into the space.
No.
I mean, when Jack Nicholson was involved, but all the other actors in that were just so on point in the courtroom scenes. I really like that. Mine. I have Saving Private Ryan on there because I really like that movie, the way it was made. And I think it was about any World War II veteran that you asked about. It said that was as close as you got to what it was really like, especially taking on D-Day, taking the beach. Yep. Groundhog Day, one of my favorite lines in movies is when he recites something, because he's learned that Andy McDowell likes French literature, right? And he recites a French poem, and she goes, "You speak French?" And Bill Murray goes, "Oui." I think that's one of the great moments in any movie.
Bo, you know my affection for The Fugitive, so that would be way higher on my list as well.
Here's another one that I'm shocked is not on. I think it's crazy. Is Heat. Heat's unbelievable. The Michael Mann, Pacino, and De Niro first time.
Absolutely.
The guy and sharing a scene and all of that. That movie is amazing. So I think Heat ought to be on there too. Go ahead.
So let's start at the top. Let's go with 1 and number 2, which I think are both pretty strong here. Shawshank Redemption, number 1. Schindler's List, number 2. Number 3, Thelma and Louise, higher or lower?
So I have no use. I've seen Thelma and Louise once. I don't think it's made for me. It's not. So it's just not in my wheelhouse compared to some of this other stuff. The top 2, though, I think speak to what I was saying before we started, which is, first of all, I have no issue with Shawshank Redemption, number 1. I think it's one of the most rewatchable. It might be the best movie ever made, honestly. And it wasn't a huge hit right away. And most of the reading that I've done on it is because I think a lot of people were very confused by the name of it. And it people didn't know exactly what it was about. So they didn't do a great job of marketing, but it's one of those movies that, because of cable and everything, it's gotten its rightful place at the top of the list.
Hey, real quick, and also
Schindler's List, though, real quick. Schindler's List is one that I watched once. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's great, but I don't need to see it again.
I don't need to have those feelings all the time that you get from watching Schindler's List. Unbelievable. It did bring out, what it should, though, in that movie.
Yes.
But Shawshank Redemption was filmed mainly in Ohio, up around Mansfield Reformatory, which you can still go visit and get tours, and you can travel around to where the where the field was, where the where Red had to go get
gone, right?
The tree's gone, but you can still go. You can still be in that area. I mean, because my buddy Snook has his lake house up there on Charles Miller Lake, and we've gone and checked out some of the sites many times where the thing was the road where they filmed some of it and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's cool about it. But it's such a great movie. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Toy Story, number 4.
Okay.
Number 5, There's Something About Mary. Higher or lower for those two?
Well, Toy Story is obviously, I think you can talk about the brilliance of it. Something About Mary, for whatever reason, has kind of been lost in the rewatchable realm. in the way that like
Favre.
Wedding Crashers and some of those other ones have. But I haven't seen it in forever. I went to the theater to see it. It was laugh out loud funny. It was one of those ones where everybody talked about like the scene, and so you were waiting on that scene, and it delivered. I haven't seen it in forever. My guess is it holds up, and I have no problem with being where it is on this list.
Yeah, it gave new meaning to the word hair moose. But Brett Favre,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
Boy, he couldn't act.
But exactly.
God, he was terrible.
Oh yeah, he could not act.
I know.
He could scramble, but he couldn't act. But I thought it was very, the whole scene where where he picks up the hitchhiker. Right. Get this 6-minute abs or whatever it was. I mean, but then past that, but. Yeah, I'm with you on both. Toy Story was great because I was watching it with my kids, so I did watch it several times.
Let's go 6 through 8 here. Malcolm X, Good Will Hunting, and the Titanic, higher or lower?
Good Will Hunting's pretty close to perfect. I think it could be in the top 5 of this list. Pretty easy, don't you think?
Except, this is what bugs me about I pay attention to these stupid details, Bo. I don't like the way Matt Damon smokes cigarettes in that movie. They should not have had him smoking because he looks like a guy who doesn't smoke cigarettes. You know what I mean? And he wasn't inhaling. You know what I mean? Those kind of things bug me. Why
did they make him?
When it's obvious that he's not a good fake smoker, why would you continue that in the movie? But past that, got some great scenes. I mean, Retainer.
Yeah, right. Just brilliant.
With Ben Affleck, right on down the line, and I got her number. How you like them apples? But that was a great scene in the bar when he puts the guy in his place, the preppy.
Yeah. Number 9 on this list, Hoop Dreams, and I've been waiting for this one for you, Bo. Number 10, Goodfellas.
Yeah, I mean, Goodfellas should be in the top 5.
Correct.
Sure. It's
top
pretty
3.
much. It's pretty much perfect. I'm not a big Liotta guy, but he really sounds a lot like Henry Hill. Like a lot of people say Liotta's overreacting, but he looks like he's really got the Henry Hill part down. Mm-hmm. I would say we kind of glossed over good Hoop Dreams there, and I understand why. It's a 3+ hour documentary on 2 kids in inner city Chicago who they picked them out as 8th graders.
Right.
And at a basketball camp at Isaiah Thomas's high school, and somehow it's the most riveting documentary. It's as riveting as any documentary I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I truly mean it. And I think it would hold up to this day, like just the trials and tribulations of those 2 kids. That's a great accomplishment of Dreams. I just can't imagine the time, Tim, it took to make that.
Oh, yeah. Well,
to invest like 5 years.
The patience
to
and the
follow 2 kids.
Patience and the fingers crossed. You know what I mean? That
they had to hit a little.
But it should be required watching for parents bringing up their kids focused on one thing. I'm talking about, and there was a lot in that movie, in that documentary, but about just focusing on one thing, and when it doesn't get you where you're going, now what, right? And I'm talking about from a sports standpoint. I like Goodfellas for all kinds of reasons, and but I'm at Indy. I've told you a story before in the pits back in the early 2000s, and I'm just walking before the race, the Indy 500, and I'm looking at a car as I'm walking, kind of like a guy looking at his cell phone, right? And I bump right into this guy and turn around. And it's Ray Liotta's eyes staring me right in the right. And I go, "Excuse me." He goes, "No, excuse me." Instead of offing me, he says, "Excuse me."
Excuse me.
Yeah, but I just Goodfellas hits a lot of notes, man. And I thought they did it extremely well.
It holds up. It really does.
Yes.
It was so good they made it again in Casino.
Why are we so fascinated by the mobsters? I just think
I think all of us have a little bit of what could we get away with and how good would it be if we did?
Yes.
Right?
These guys just live that life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just kind of answered a note. Go ahead, Beck.
I think too, like that's real life, but we don't believe it's real life.
Yeah.
So we're like, there's no way this is happening, right?
You live in suburbia, and this is going on, somewhere out there, and you're just going, wow, this is fascinating.
You mentioned Casino. It was number 17 on this list. Again, they did 40 here, so Casino was 17.
I'll watch it, man, every time I see it on. The desert scene is so cool.
Oh, God, it's a tough watch. That's a tough watch, man. Little Tommy.
I will die on the hill that if we're going to have a comedy in this top 10 list, it's got to be Tommy Boy over Something About Mary, though.
Yeah.
My kid I watched it with my oldest last summer, and he loved it.
That's so good.
Just loved Tommy Boy.
Who doesn't? It's a
really
classic in its own way. But
I do wonder if Saving Private Ryan, Tim, it was hurt a little bit by Band of Brothers.
I don't know. He shouldn't have been, because we're just talking about flat movies.
No, I know, but it feels
so
like
well
when
produced.
people look for it's perfect. People look back at look for World War II stuff.
Right.
You hear Band of Brothers and Band of Brothers is perfect.
And by the way,
perfect.
By the way, Forrest Gump. I mean, that's just me, because he played for Alabama for 6 years, right? He was the original
Hold on a second. This just occurs to me. Pulp Fiction isn't on this list.
Yeah, you're right. I just noticed that also.
Pulp Fiction should be number one, two,
I'll tell you another movie that I watch if it's on is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah,
I love that movie. So,
but Pulp Fiction should be on that
Pulp
list.
Fiction
That's probably the most influential movie of the 90s.
Yes.
For sure. We are in a brand new day in college football. How would you run a program? Tim May and I have been doing this for a long time. We'll have a little fun with this and then bring on Doug at 11:30, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris,
Texas,
then it's off to Rome,
Georgia,
and you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio!
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes.
This was something of a bittersweet day in Reds baseball back on July 3rd, 1877. The bad news was that the Reds had been forced to suspend operations for 3 weeks. On June 16th of that year, the club went bankrupt. Ownership declared the season over for the Reds. But a couple of weeks later, a new owner stepped up, re-signed the players, and the club resumed play on July 3rd. So baseball was back. Although the team was hardly worth watching, the 1877 Reds only won 15 games. They finished dead last. But at least the Reds were playing again, a second start for the 1877 season on this July 3rd, this date in Reds baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
Hey, look, it's Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
You know what I love the most about your store?
What's that, common man?
The way you treat people. You get to know your customers. That's why they keep coming back. No sleazeballs around. Just good, clean boys and girls selling jewelry.
Stop in and see the difference for yourself.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington. WorthingtonJewelers.com. It's where Columbus gets engaged. Tell them Common Man sent you.
Delaware County Veterans Services, here for those who served. Located on the ground floor of the historic courthouse in downtown Delaware, our team of veteran county veteran service officers is ready to help you access VA benefits, emergency financial assistance, dental and medical grants, transportation, and more. Need a ride to a VA appointment, facing a financial emergency? Are you or your spouse simply looking for answers? Then give Delaware County Veterans Services a call. 740-833-2010 to schedule an appointment. Delaware County Veterans Services.
Morning Juice, real football talk. Just two guys who aren't afraid to say what needs to be said.
And that's how she wrote.
Sponsored by Riverside Bank of Dublin.
Now streaming mornings on YouTube and 10 TV Plus. Attack and dominate.
Now is a great time to schedule a back-to-school dental appointment. Dr. Hal Jeter, president of the Ohio Dental Association, is here to tell us more.
Your child's teeth and gums need the right food, nutrition, and vitamins to grow strong and stay healthy. Help them maintain good oral health by brushing every morning and night, flossing, visiting the dentist twice a year, and developing good eating habits. As kids head back to school, it's important to know that foods and drinks high in sugar, acidity, and other cavity-promoting substances are often low in nutritional value, and they have the potential to create plaque capable of damaging tooth enamel. A back-to-school dental appointment can diagnose any potential problems and improve your child's oral health. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state, are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care, are bound by the highest ethical standards, and obtain superior ongoing education and training. Ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association so you know you are being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit ODA.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Sunny skies in our forecast for today. We'll see afternoon highs getting into the upper 80s with light winds, and a stray shower can't be ruled out. For tonight, mostly clear with lows down into the 60s. And then for Friday, for the 4th of July, we get up into the low 90s. Lots of sunshine and dry conditions with maybe a stray shower or storm out there, but we do stay mainly dry closing out the week. For the Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfolo with your 10 weather impact forecast.
The two most mature people working at the radio station, and that's just because they wear pants.
The pervert and the skivvies.
Rockman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan. The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
You hear that, my friends? That's the sound of freedom in this July. Declare your independence on the open road during RCD RV's Declare Your Independence sale running July 5th through the 19th. That starts this weekend, offering all-American savings on all in-stock motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers. Wave goodbye to ordinary vacations. Say hello to adventure. Stop by any of our locations in Delaware, Heath, and Pataskala, or online anytime at rcdrv.com. Celebrate the red, white, and blue with unbeatable savings at RCD RV. RCD RV, freedom starts on the open road. Well, let me ask you this. You and I have not talked about this. Normally I talk to you about this on a Friday when you visit with us at 10:30. Do you think that this House settlement, which we're 3 days into, and I don't want to minimize because athletes are now being paid above board by institutions, do you think this is going to, what type of impact do you think, if any, it will have on how rosters are built in college football?
Good question. Because I've been telling you for 3.5, 4 years now, the magic word is contracts. And we're even seeing Wisconsin fight because a guy had a contract with an NIL, you know what I mean? So that's the magic word in terms of truly controlling your rosters. But there are going to be lawsuits out the wazoo. With this House settlement, there are going to be people challenging all kinds of things about it, not the least of which is a $600 maximum until you have to go through a clearinghouse to get NIL deals done. We just saw what Jeremiah Smith signed with Adidas, right?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. I mean,
what are we doing?
But here's the thing. Adidas is going to pay him a lot of money, and he's, in essence, one of their national guys or international guys, really, when you think about it. And so what's he worth? Who is a like person for Jeremiah Smith when it comes to, well, it says here that you type of people should make $80,000 a year. Who's going to set those parameters? So that's where the first challenges are really going to come on what you can get from the NIL standpoint, other than just the revenue sharing. But I just think it did give you a little bit of sanity and justice in terms of they should have been sharing the revenue for 35, 40 years now, and they're at least, and they're finally have been forced by the legal system to do it. But now, are you going to be able to hang on to that, quote, student-athlete model, end quote, in perpetuity? And that's what I'm curious to see. I mean, I remember talking with Ross Bjork about this a week ago, and the fact that they don't want to lose the idea that you still got to be a student to play college sports, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think we're headed pell-mell towards something of a pay-for-play, and you can go to school if you want to kind of situation. I don't think that's way on down the road if it happens at all. But that's the curious part about this whole thing. But at least now they're sharing in the revenue. Now what's next? It's interesting. But, Bo, I've been saying this all along. average lifespan or career span for a guy in the NFL is 3.7 years. You can make a lot of bank now in college football if you just are pretty good and you stay eligible and keep your wits about you. But in terms of governing rosters, I truly believe you've got to keep an eye on the transfer portal. That's going to change when maybe there's only going to be one portal, except maybe for special circumstances, I think, down the road. But you've got to enrich your team in some form or fashion through the transfer portal. You've got to keep 6, 8, 10 spots at least available for that, no matter what school you are.
And I saw that Ross Dellinger was some reporting yesterday at Yahoo about how athletic directors are finally saying the word collectively bargained.
Yes.
We've been talking about that on this show since 2018.
And how can you do that without being an employee? Yeah.
Right. You and I have been talking about it for 10 years. I mean, this is the only way. We all know it. They're being drugged, kicking, and screaming to this end. And eventually that's the only way because if you talk to coaches, what they want is to be able to have some control over their roster. They want to be able to coach guys.
Right.
How can you coach a guy who anytime you say something cross at him, they say, well, fine, I'm leaving.
Right.
There's no accountability.
Or his handler.
There's no way to have it.
Or his handler says, you should leave, and here, let me go find where you can leave, and that way you don't have to get involved in that aspect of it.
You're right. One big point you made on that's exactly right is and they want the student, they don't want to ever lose a student athlete part of it. I'm always curious, like, how these guys have enough time to take a full class load while all this is going on, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But the thing that you mentioned in terms of guys, it now allows you, if you are elite, to enrich your life sooner. And it doesn't have to just be in the NFL. And a great example of this is a guy that I know pretty well here in the last month, Dylan Gabriel.
Yes.
Dylan Gabriel had a full career at UCF. And then he went to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They were the highest bidder. It was a good system.
Yes.
Played there for 2 years. And then he had another year of eligibility, and he enriched himself again at Oregon.
He
lands with the Cleveland Browns with a third-round pick, but as a multimillionaire of his own making.
If all cards were on the table, he might have been the highest paid NIL guy or total compensation in the country last year. I mean,
very well might have been
parlayed, man. And he's a sharp guy. I don't know if you ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you've talked to
him quite a bit. Yeah. He's a brilliant kid. But that type of thing is now there. What I'm curious about I said this earlier in the week. I'm curious your thoughts on it. If I were Ryan Day and a high school kid were trying to leverage me for millions to play here, I would probably say, I'll just deal with that in the portal at certain positions.
Yeah.
Offense and defensive line, I'm not paying a left tackle $2.5 million as an 18-year-old. Well, there's just too much wiggle room in that spot. Now, a quarterback, okay, or a Jeremiah Smith type, a Chris Henry type, okay, like there's usually a direct impact that's made. But in the lines of scrimmage, it's tough to land those guys, and I would not be leveraged by any of those kids.
The NFL finally got a handle on that, right? I mean, from the standpoint of draft picks, it's slotted how much you're going to make. Because at one point it was out of control in terms of quarterbacks taken. You remember those days? I mean,
it was Stafford and Sam Bradford were the last two that got like $70 million to sign as rookies.
Who hadn't played yet, and so that's the next thing is how do you get a handle on that? Well, you get a handle on that by basically, like I've said, having contracts and stuff, and you're going to, but revenue sharing. I mean, everybody's not going to make exactly the same. It's not communism. It's not socialism. Everybody's not going to make exactly the same, even when it comes for revenue sharing. You're still going to parcel it out based on, basically, your worth to the team as it grows and stuff. But your NIL deals, you can still go out and get your own NIL deals, and they still have to be approved. Like at Ohio State, they have to be approved by Ohio State, but now the clearinghouse. But you're right. I mean, Ethan Onyeonwa is a great example. The kid they brought in to play left tackle. I'm not sure Ohio State even recruited him out of high school. I'm pretty sure they didn't, but. I mean, he looks pretty good to me, and looked pretty good on the video from Rice, and when he played at Rice, and so and then C.J. Donaldson, he's lost all that weight now from West Virginia. They've got a 1-2 punch again at running back, and maybe a third with Bo Jackson, the freshman. So so they improved themselves. Ohio State did both in the portal and the draft, aka recruiting this year. Yeah. Because that's where you are going to continually have to do it. But Bo, I've been saying all along, I think the next development in this, if it's not here already, is you're not going to take flyers on necessarily on offensive linemen who may grow into something.
No.
Let them grow into something and then go get them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be my path on this thing. And I think the other thing that I'm really curious about is like on that money that's given to players on the revenue share, do you look at a guy like Jeremiah Smith and say, look, you're making $6-7 million in endorsements. You got a national Adidas campaign. Can we funnel this money somewhere else? Because you've already got yours.
Restructure your contract. Yeah.
Right. That's one of those things. I mean, that's what Pantoni's, that's his job. And that's a complicated one. We'll get Doug's take on all of this in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone for Window Nation. Did you know their co-founders are Ohio natives? Well, you should. Window Nation has been replacing windows in the Columbus region for over 15 years. Not only does Window Nation know what windows work best for Ohio homeowners like you, they're also local to the area. And right now, you can take advantage of Window Nation's biggest sale of the year. Remember this number, 50% off. All window styles, all from Window Nation. 50% off plus 0 interest for 5 whole years. Yeah, I said that. 5 whole years, 2030. No interest on the windows from Window Nation. Plus, they'll install your new windows in 1 day or less. Get the windows you want for 50% off plus no interest until 2030. What are you waiting for? Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com today to get your free quote on replacement windows. Again, I can't stress this enough. You do not want to miss out on this deal. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell them T-Bone sent you.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, Care is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
Normally we do it on a Friday at this time, but this is a Thursday that feels like a Friday. We head out on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline, get a little smarter with our buddy Doug Lesmeries. He is the king of the north, of course, and he joins us there. We're paying. We're through. It's July 1st. We're paying players. And Doug, I've been fascinated how various athletic departments have decided how they're going to divvy up their money and so forth and so on. In terms of being prepared for this and what's coming, what will change for fans, if anything, based on this ruling that went into effect on July 1st?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the biggest programs won't be able to overwhelm you as much. Maybe that they'll have to be a little more judicious in player acquisition with the money they are divvying up. I do think it's interesting when you get away from football. I think you have to make choices about what you really want to try to be good at. Mm-hmm. Like we're seeing that, like with Ohio State's talked about that with volleyball, like things like that. Like, hey, where do we really want to go for it with Olympic sports? And I think that's good because there's a lot of schools where, like, you win one national title in an Olympic sport. That's a huge deal for that school. So I think that'll be fun. But I think we'll all get even a little more into some roster building strategy. And the one thing that we've talked about in our show is, like, if you're hiring a new coach for a new sport and that coach says, I'll come take your job, but I want more of the rev share. Mm-hmm. I want from 7% to 10% in an Olympic sport. Or if I'm basketball going to a football school, well, it used to be 20%, I want 30%. And there's only one pie. So if you're given, you got to be taken from somebody. And I think we're going to hear more stories about that, and that's super interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how fast the maximum right now, the $20.5 million, how quickly that goes up in terms of 22, 25 million down the road, Doug, because I think there will be a hue and cry by several other sports, but you got to keep football and men's basketball and women's basketball healthy, right? I mean, that's the little pickle there. But like Bo just talked about something that's very interesting in terms of, well, wait a minute, if Jeremiah Smith is making $2 or $5 million, who knows what he's making in NIL? Can we talk him into taking a lesser amount from a revenue sharing standpoint so he can spread it around? There's going to be negotiating going on all up and down the road, right?
Well, I mean, and that's, Ohio State has this, strategic department now where they're hiring people for that, like all this kind of stuff. The analytics that's been creeping in to pro sports for 20 years now, we're going to see that out on the college level. And how do you prioritize spots on a roster? How do you decide what you pay a third string left guard in football versus an All-American swimmer? There's decisions within a roster of a football team. There's decisions within an athletic department. And then, like you guys are saying, there's decisions of, well, this is your rev share cut, but we're going to supplement you with this big NIL package. And, again, it's about what's in your bank account, whether it comes from rev share or NIL. Does Jeremiah Smith really care where it comes from? So there's going to be a lot of massaging. And, again, I think we'll see in the next 5 years who's smarter about it, right? I like when smart's rewarded. And I think the schools that are more aggressive and strategic and smart about divvying up money, we'll see a result. We'll see that on the field and on the courts.
One thing that I think naive's too strong of a word, but I can't think of another one. I didn't go to a good enough school. I think Ohio State. Yeah, I know. I think maybe there's a little bit of naivete, at least outward, in